Happy New Year to the kings and queens. It is Monday. It's Ashmatic Analysis. Ash, you well?
Just about, man. Just about. You know, these winters get colder and colder.
Everybody is sick. Everybody I've spoken to is bloody sick. You know what I say? Stop going outside. I ain't been outside. I'm well.
Listen, people are trying to support their club, man. They're trying to go out, enjoy what they can. And
every time I've been outside in this last 2 weeks is when I went to We Are Tottenham TV studio. So if I caught anything, it'd have been off sim.
I hear it, man. Like, guys, make sure you take your ivermectin, you take your vitamin C, your zinc, your vitamin D, your ABCs, the rest of it. Because, boy, yeah, like Marlon said, it's going to be a cold winter.
Cold winter. And Spurs ain't going to help.
Hey, the Spurs blues, man. It's a real thing. Dr. Tottenham, boy, every time. But yeah, listen, let's get into it, man.
So much to go through. What we've missed. So we were on after Palace. We had bought Brentford, and then we've obviously had Sunderland. So there's a lot to talk about. Two draws in a row.
Red and white.
So let's bring on our guest. First of all, let's bring out someone who's been on before, and we ain't got long for very long. So let's say a big welcome to Manny. You well?
Big up, guys. Thanks for having me once again. This weather's not for the faint-hearted, man. I was out in Dubai 2 weeks ago, and now I'm in the lovely cold of Cambridge. I don't know what I was thinking coming back now. And yeah, just to make me feel a bit better, I was at the stadium as well. On Saturday, my feet were absolutely freezing. Got back in my car, got stuck in the M11 for 45 minutes. But listen, I'm not complaining. Thanks for having me. And
no violence.
Sounds like you are.
No violence around here, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here.
Big up.
And they're making his debut onto the channel tonight. And a big welcome from Tottenham Logic TV to Alan. I hope you are well.
How you doing? You all right? I don't know how many days into the year you can still say Happy New Year for, but it's the 5th today and I'm still saying it, so we'll keep that going. My whole family's ill, but I'm the only one that's not got it because I'm hard, and that's how it is.
Alan, I'm with you because Ash was ill last week, so I know he's not.
He's not as hard as me, then, is he? That's what it is.
Is that what we're doing? Yeah, early shot.
Toughness is geography too, mate.
I hear it.
All right, let's just jump straight into it. There is so much to go through. Let's talk about 2 draws in a row. Now, Frank will probably tell us. He's got 2 points on the board. At place, we never win.
2 clean sheets as well, don't forget that. Because we've got
2 clean sheets beforehand. So he's got 5 points. He hasn't lost any.
Undefeated.
Why are we still sitting here as Spurs fans so disappointed with what's going on? Ash, come on. Let's get.
Bro, it's the football, man. Like, what's going on? It's the football. Like, as Spurs fans, we're so used to, I say we're used to it, but I think fans want attacking football. They want to be entertained. And once you take that away and the results don't marry up, you're going to be disgruntled. You're going to have fans that aren't happy and they're going to start looking for things. Remember, I've said this before, you've got different factions of the fan base. You've got Spurs fans that wanted Frank in, of course, and they were against Ange. You've got the opposite, where you've had people that wanted to give Ange, like this season, give him a few more games, and so you've got fans that are in between. Do you know what I'm saying? And then you've got another set of fans that sit halfway around in that fence. Do you know what I mean? And they just want to back the club. I'm probably missing another sector of fans, but there's a whole mishmash. And some people have agendas and they don't even realize they've got agendas because it's just been so deep into this mess that we don't know what we want as fans. Do you know what I'm saying? We're buying into this younger project. Then we're like, no, we're not buying into this younger project. We need ready now. I remember at one point it was like, we need to be top 4. And then another point we were like, no, top 4 can't be the remit anymore. We need to be winning trophies. And off the back of a trophy win, I think the expectations has just been skewed now, because we're like, listen, we need more of that. We like that taste. We like that parade. We want to see more. And then you've brought in a manager that doesn't have a pedigree to match. So then now you've got that in the mix, bro. Do you understand? So it's a whole heap of palaver, a whole heap of mix-up. And yeah, you look at the football now and people are saying, is our squad as good as last season? That should be the conversation. Has the squad improved or has it regressed? Do you get it? But in terms of being specific, in terms of those actual games that we played, I just think you're just seeing a mixture. I think personally, it is a bit on Frank and a bit on the players as well. But you've got to remember who picked the players. Do you know what I'm saying? It is a mismatch of previous managers. I'll give you that. But the last 4-5 players that were brought in was for Frank, and that was on his say so. So, yeah, when you see that play out, you see a couple injuries happen, and the results aren't going our way. And Frank, to be fair, that last game, because I know we need to talk about the game before that, we were on the front foot, especially in the first half. Is it on Frank because he set the team out to attack? I'll let my guests discuss that part. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's a lot to kind of unpack.
Alan, I'm going to start with you. Where are you on this whole Thomas Frank football? Is it for you? Are you willing to give him some time at the moment? Is it the players? Is it a bit of everything? Is it the way the club's being run?
Pushback?
First of all, it's boring to watch. It really is. We covering the Brentford game, I nearly fell asleep, and I've heard 1,000 Tottenham fans say the same thing. It is a bit of everything. I agree with Ash. It starts at the very top. We've been regressing for years. It's not just been under Frank, but we've been doing it quietly, being gaslighted by the board year on year, saying we're going to be doing this, doing that, being lied to a lot. And then it's gone on to, oh, Ange, we need to compete on all 4 fronts. And then we get a manager in that's not competing on any fronts, and they're not sacking him. So they're being very contradictory straight away because Ange won us something, had a winning mentality, and they sacked him. So what's Frank done to deserve his job at the moment? That you can say, yeah, we've got 2 clean sheets in the last 3 games, but we were playing a very, very tired Crystal Palace side who've got players out in AFCON. They played midweek. We had 8 days rest. You know, it was inevitable that they were going to put in a poor performance, and we only just got over the line against them. Sunderland have only scored 4 goals away from home all season, and they managed still to score against us and dominate us for the last 25 minutes or whatever it was. The first half was decent, I thought we were seeing green shoots, but again, it was back to normal in the second half. So what has Frank done so far for us to say we can really see what's going on? We can see what his vision is. We know what to get behind. We know what kind of style of football he wants to play. All I've seen is his tactics are get the ball to the wide players, put a cross in, get a long throw in, or get a corner. We haven't scored an open play goal, by the way, in the last 5 games. Did you know that? That's absolutely insane. So far, I'm finding it very hard to get behind him, but it's not logical to sack him if the whole transfer window is based around him. Because if you sack him now, the board could then make the excuse of getting some other manager in and saying, oh, sorry, we didn't sign any players for him because he didn't know who he wanted to keep and who he wanted to sell. We'll end up signing nobody. So it just makes more logical sense to keep him, see what he can do with the new players. And if it was the players' fault, they will be exposed. But we'll have to find out that way, maybe.
Manny, same question. Where are you now with Frank? You know, you were a big believer in Ange last year.
Huge, man. So huge. I think piggying back on what Ash was saying, I want to just split the different narratives, right? The Ange part of this whole rhetoric about Frank has got nothing to do with Ange v Frank. What that has to do with is the entire YouTube community that have flip-flopped and
Hey, he's calling us out.
are being hypocrites and will not own up to the hypocrisy from last season. What do I mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
With regards to myself, I have when Frank got appointed, I wasn't too happy about it. You know, I felt we had that feel good factor from Ange's win. I was at the parade when he said season 3 is better than season 2. The guy right next to me had berated Ange all season, and when Ange said season 3 is better than season 2, he was like, "Ray!" Right? So this is 200, over 200,000 people who berated Ange, wanted Ange out, but could acknowledge that there was something that might have been brewing and wanted him to stay. Right? I have no issue with the fact that we sacked him, because I can understand if a club, you know, Tottenham's stature, say, you know what, we need to compete on multiple fronts. Now, where my issue lies is when I had loads of YouTube pundits, YouTube experts of football, YouTube tacticos, right, say to me that everything was Ange's fault. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people have come out and said, you know what, I might have been a bit harsh on Ange because of what I'm seeing now. However, let us not rewrite history. Before that Chelsea game and we started getting the injuries that Ange had, I went on a show and started talking about the underlying metrics. The underlying metrics at the time with Ange was we were top 4 in chance creation. We were top 4 in shots against the opposition. We were top 4 in progressive passes. We were top 4 in XG and top 4 in XG against, right? Then the injuries happened at the start of Ange's of the second season in December, right? And then Ange had to play Thursday, Friday with the same team, with Foster in goal, with Dragusin at the back, with Gray at the back, with Davis at the back, right? And what I was told was Ange has to adapt. Cool. So now fast forward a few months with the Professor Thomas Frank, right? And now I'm being told we need 15 players. So I literally sit back and I was like, hold on a second. How do we go from a manager having to adapt with about 12, 13 injuries to Frank needing about 15 players to compete? That is where I am like, oh hell no, you know, I'm not that stupid. I'm not oblivious to what happened last season. So if one manager had to adapt, the second manager has to adapt too. So that is that fractious debate issue that we're having within the fan base. It's not necessarily about Ange v Frank. It's about what people said when Ange was in charge.
Manny,
right?
Just on that quickly, yeah. Because I know what you're saying, but if I said to you Frank has adapted and it still hasn't worked,
how has he adapted?
Would you accept that as an answer?
How has he adapted? How has Frank adapted?
So he's more adapted to the opposition and who we play, and he does change it from game to game. However, it just still doesn't work.
Would you think that he changes too much from game to game?
Sometimes not. I'd probably say that he changes. So let's take Sunderland. Let's take Saturday or Sunday. Sunday, sorry, for a prime example. He saw that we couldn't score the second goal. He saw that our front line is absolutely shoddy. There was 2 incidences, and I brought this up on many podcasts, but I want to bring it up on here. There was 2 incidents where better players, Tottenham are winning 2-0. Mawani, where he controls it, where it's in front of him and it ends up going out. He miscontrols it, ends up going out to a corner. And then Richarlison, when he's through and he has a chance to play it into Mawani. Okay, Mawani might not score, we don't know, but let's just take it. He ends up not passing it, ends up taking it 2 yards further and ends up just playing it into a Sunderland player. Now, he then adapted and went, we ain't going to get this second goal. I don't like this front line. Like, we don't like the front line. And he put Paulinho and back in midfield, which was probably the worst thing to do.
No, 100%. And funny enough, Marlon, right?
Yeah.
If you watch, the last video that I made on my channel, right? I actually praised him for that first half, right? I actually didn't have any issue with majority of his gameplay in the game against Sunderland. Let's forget the fact that they have about eight players.
Good question on that. Do you think that was more down to Ben Davies more than anything else?
Because
Ben Davies was not. Ben Davies is not going to go up and down the line.
No.
So it meant that you don't have a Jed Spence or a Udogie, which is leaving the two and getting in the left winger's space. It just meant Tell had the freedom on that left-hand side to do what the hell he liked.
Oh, no, 100%. Like, we've seen what the benefits are when we have a left-footed left back in that position, which is exactly what happened. Like, Davies, as we all know, should not even be on the pitch anyway. However, just by the pure fact of him being a left-footed left back really helped the balance of the team. That is factual. Then we also have the fact that we were many yards high up pressing. Like, you had Richie press, even though his press sometimes, like, I think I'm twice his size. I'm quick or even quicker than he is, right? However, we had Odebert press, we had Tell press, we had a Kudus press. That was an instruction. That was a pure instruction. Davies does not automatically make the entire team press 10, 15, 20 yards up, right? That to me was an instruction. If you then go back to the games against Brentford, go back to the games against Crystal Palace, we were not pressing anywhere near that level at all from any flank. And that was him. Like, with Brentford, I genuinely think he looked at it and thought, I can't go back to Brentford and lose that game. I absolutely cannot. So he decided, well, if you're not going to win it, we're not going to win it. We're going to sit back and do that. But there is a difference between how many games have we played, guys? In total, we've played about 25 games, 27 games, 30 games. I'm not entirely sure. I can count 3 of them where we've actually played significantly well, right? I can count the City game. I can count the Brentford game, not the Brentford at home game, and then I can count the Slavia Prague game, right? And then I can count 15 minutes against Manchester United, and then maybe half an hour in the last game that we played. Every single other game that we've played, unfortunately, has not been good enough from a perspective of our play as a team. That is not just the players, because when I'm seeing Michael Keane and Mikalenko play out of a press, I'm not looking at those players thinking, oh, I would like a bit of Mikalenko. Oh, look at that world-class Michael Keane playing out from the back. That is not the case. I'm looking at, and no matter what people will say, Vicario is just behind Donnarumma in the Italian team, even though I actually don't rate Vicario that much. Porro is the starting right back of Spain. Romero is a World Cup winner. Van Ven starts for the Dutch team. Udogie is the start. When he wasn't injured, he was the starting left back for Italy. I can go through the entire team. The team is not good enough to maybe get top 4, top 5, but it's good enough to put in better performances. That's all people are asking for, Marlon and Ash. We're not asking for us to make top 4. We are asking for a manager who's in his probation period to show us why he deserves more time. At my job, if in the first 6 months you don't do well, even at my job, they will tell you, mate, you need to buckle up. At the moment, it seems like there is a certain section of the fan base who hounded Ange out, want to feel that they are right, so they don't want anybody to say anything against Frank. That is where I have an issue, because it's okay to have wanted Ange out and say, you know what, Frank hasn't done a great job so far. There is nothing wrong with that. Just the same way there is it's okay to say, oh, you know what, I wanted Ange to stay. However, I'm happy to deal with Frank in a totally different manner. That is all certain fans want. They want people to be genuinely not hypocrites and actually come out and say, you know what, either I got it wrong then, or judge the manager in the exact same way they did in the past. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for the world. I'm not asking for, all I'm saying is, please, let's be balanced. Let's be balanced. That's all.
You hear that, YouTubers?
Man, he came out swinging. Shit.
Hey, he's about to send a message out. So all those YouTubers that haven't owned up that they've got it wrong, now's the time.
Speaking of getting it wrong, Luke, welcome.
I blame you, Marlon. I'm blaming you. That's all I'm saying.
I've heard.
Thanks for having me back on, guys.
To be fair, I've heard mostly what you said, but I Spurs Kings haven't. So where are you with? You heard Manny's rant then. So, like, you come halfway between.
I'm gonna try and play the devil's advocate in between the middle of Alan and Manny. I'm not gonna go swinging at people. Just maybe a little jab. But me and Manny have come from the same background, same YouTube life, right?
You're both scarred.
You guys gave me the platform. You said, like, come on, we need people that are backing Ange. I come on, and I was told I knew nothing about football and that I was clueless and that the injuries were an excuse and that he doesn't adapt and now all I'm hearing from the same people is the same stuff about Frank, but they're not saying that. Like, and I think that's what Manny's getting at is I was told that you can't use the injuries as an excuse, and now I'm told that he's missing Kulusevski, he's missing Maddison, he's missing Solanke. But that we weren't allowed to say that last year. That weren't, when you're playing Ben Davies and Archie Gray at centre back, Ange has to find a way to adapt, but Frank doesn't. It's like that's what I struggle with. It's like if that was how you felt about someone and about the way they were, then just make sure that you continue with that throughout both sides. Like every single press conference, especially towards the end, and I'm not disagreeing saying that some of it wasn't nonsense, but some of the stuff that people were digging him out for, every single time he had a press conference, fans were going, well, this is disgraceful. As he said this, why is he saying that? And I'm listening to Frank going, why are people not calling that out? Like some of the stuff that he's coming out with is crazy. Like, but not many fans, or not the fans that were calling Ange out, are now saying it. And I think that's just a bit of a problem. I think they just heavily back someone so much. And a lot of what I heard last year as well was anyone but Ange. And that's like, that's not the ethos in life. That's not how things work.
Do you think, okay, just going back to you and Manny, and Alan can get involved in this, do you think people learned their lessons from last year and don't want to go down that road again? And what I mean by that is they called out Ange so much in these press conferences and this, that, and the other. I'm gone, I was wrong. They're not going to admit it on YouTube. They're not going to admit it in space, and just gone, I can't do that again. Because actually now I've realised new information has now finally made me realise it weren't just the manager's problem.
I hope so, because like I was told, Frank coming in, everything he says is sensible. No, it isn't. And the reason why it isn't is because when he said all of that stuff in the Brentford press conference, no one really cared. Like, with all due respect, no one really watched it. It didn't really matter if he said stuff like that. Like the Fulham game, he was literally after the game being questioned in the press conference. Why did you select this? Why did you play this player here? That didn't happen at Brentford. If they lost 2-1 to Fulham, it wasn't the end of the world. It didn't really matter. So when you've got pressure on you, when you've got people constantly questioning you, asking you stuff, some of the questions that are put, and this is not just Ange or Frank or anyone, some of the press conferences, some of the questions that are asked are absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's like, what sort of an answer do you expect? And I think that's the bit of the problem, is that when you're put in these high pressure environments and situations, people are always going to have some sort of bite, some sort of fight. You have to have that to get to the top. So they're going to come out with some statements where you're just like, that's not true. I didn't see that. I don't know how you've come to that conclusion. So I think I'm hoping that people understand now. And again, a lot of people are slowly coming. Like, for instance, I said when I came on YouTube, the medical team needs to improve, the recruitment team needs to improve, we need to get better players, all of this stuff under Ange. I said, if you change Ange, it ain't going to make a blind bit of difference. This is what's going to be the problem. And now everyone's going, oh yeah, the players ain't good enough. I'm like, I know, I said that last year. That's why I was saying last year you can get rid of Ange. And listen, Ange wasn't perfect. Ange had loads of faults, just like every single manager does, right? But it was almost like Ange is the problem at this club. Remove Ange, and a lot of the problems are still staying exactly where they were, because it wasn't Ange that was the problem; it was the club.
Just to answer that, right? On like Luke, I'm very petty, right? So I am not
Telling us.
waiting. Oh yeah. I'm not. I'm just
respect
being honest. I'm not waiting for people to come on and be like, oh, you know what? They've said that on YouTube, but they're not gonna say that they were wrong on YouTube. No. You try and tell me that you're not wrong on YouTube, and I will keep calling you out until you figure out that, oh, actually, you know what? I was wrong. I am petty like that. If people went overboard, and listen, I have had arguments with them. Ash is in the group chats that I'm in. I am coming out swinging. I do not care. I will remind you that you are not being biased. Like, listen, let me get. Luke made a very good point, right? Which I want to clarify and make sure that people understand. I have no issue with the fact that they sacked Ange, even though I didn't want them to, because I understood why. Just because I wanted him to stay does not mean it would have worked. He went to, obviously, I don't, I've always said, football is not linear. I've heard people say to me, Ange went to Forest, he lost 8 games, look at what he did, so it's not going to work. Well, I can also say, well, look at what Nuno did at Forest. He took them to 7th. Does that mean we were wrong in sacking Nuno? No, that's not how football works. Ange went to Forest. It was the wrong place, the wrong time, the wrong players. That's absolutely fine. My whole point being is, fine, you've sacked him. What was the answer? I personally don't think Frank is the answer. However, I do acknowledge what a lot of people say, because the best thing for us, look at Danny, the most bias. I'll deal with you later. Anyway, I actually think that the best thing for Spurs is for Frank to get it right. Don't get me wrong. That is the best thing for Spurs, because we've gone to a situation whereby we've sacked the manager that just won us a trophy, brought in another manager. Imagine how it would look to any incumbent manager that we might be caught in or speaking to if we were to sack Frank. Think about what players, the players, the caliber that we want to attract, what they would be thinking if we've gone through a merry-go-round of sacking. So from my perspective, the best thing that would happen for us as Spurs fans is that Frank actually, just I don't know, brings people in, whatever you want to call it, but has this ethos change and then actually makes things work. Our problem is that I don't think that Frank is an idiot. I don't think that he has. I actually think that inherently he is a risk, what do you call it, a risk averse manager. And I actually think that the football that certain Spurs fans want to see, he is not going to play it. Just to give you a very quick example, I know I've spoken to it so much, so I'll just end it very quickly, right? So I enjoyed Contable, right, when it was in full swing, in transition, our wing backs, even though we didn't have, the players that we needed. So I'm not really stuck into this ball possession, suffocate the opposition with the passes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's not me. If your football is effective, I am fully on board with it. My problem with Frank is I have zero clue what he's trying to implement. Zero. If I was to ask you guys, what is his mantra? What is his football? I have no clue. That's my issue. And I think that's the issue with a lot of Spurs fans, is that they want to get on board with something. They just don't know what it is with this manager.
The thing I don't like about that Ange comparison to Forest is if you use similar context and then you say, does that not prove that Keith Andrews a better manager at Brentford then, because he's taken Brentford to another level? Does that mean that he's better than Frank? But that won't be a conversation. Like, we're saying that Ange has gone in there under a certain tactic, under a certain style, trying to completely change it. And he's so bad because he didn't win any games. but Frank is this level of manager, and Keith Andrew has gone in and done better than him when he's lost Mbuemo, Wissa, captain, goalkeeper. So if in that sort of logic, are you then saying that Keith Andrews, the set piece coach, is a better manager than Frank because he's done better than Frank has ever done? No, you're not, because there's different context to things. There's different.
Yeah, but that's he possibly could be a better manager than Frank. We don't know at this present moment, because I always was like, okay, Graham Potter at Brighton, everyone said he was good, he was this, that, and the other. De Zerbi went in, same squad, did better. So maybe actually in hindsight, Keith Andrews might be a better manager than Thomas Frank. We're about to find out, because
but in the same things, they're using the Ange one as saying that someone's gone in and he's doing a lot worse than what Nuno and Daesh has done, but they're not using that same sort of theory when you're talking about Frank doing worse with a better squad than what Andrews is. It's because that doesn't fit with what they're saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's almost like if that's your way of thinking, think like that all the time, but it's not, because that doesn't actually fit with what they're trying to say. Do you know what I mean? It's the players, the fans that are backing Frank.
Can I ask a side note? And I was going to ask Alan, but he looks like he's kind of busy. But
he's finishing to build a shed.
He's finished. All right. Building a new studio. I
made a rookie mistake, mate. I didn't put my bloody charger on, did I?
Oh, fair enough, man. I was going to ask.
Only on Spurs Kings.
I was going to ask, what do you think Frank's ceiling is? Like, I don't know if anyone's just before, because that's a great question, because a lot of Brentford fans said he'd hit his ceiling at Brentford and there was no more he could do, and they were quite glad he left. So on top of that, what is Frank's ceiling? Alan,
go on. What did you say? Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, Alan, what is his ceiling? What do you think it is?
Sorry, you're speaking to me now.
Yeah,
I'm back. What's Frank's ceiling we're talking about?
Yeah, what's Frank's ceiling? Like at Spurs, do you think he can get top 4? Do you think he can win us a trophy? Or is top 6 his limit? Like, what's his floor? What are we seeing at like what's your idea on Frank? Because obviously he's got to turn it around from here. We're in January at the moment. We've got we've got Bournemouth next away, which isn't an easy place to go. I know the results haven't been really good, but I've seen them against Chelsea. I saw their last game they played.
Played the Gooners last, didn't they?
Yeah, they played Arsenal last, and it wasn't straightforward. So after the January games, of course, we've got February, and it's like Newcastle, Man United, Man City. Obviously, we own Manchester, but under Frank, we just don't know. And then we've got who else have we got? February's just a tricky time. So I think January for me, I'm looking at it as a must win. But yeah, just a general question. What do you think his ceiling is? What do you think his floor is? Can he get top 4 with Spurs is what I'm asking, or can he do better?
I think by the way he talks, he still sees us as a 17th place side, because he repeats it constantly. This team finished 17th last season, so we're doing well this year. So I think he thinks his ceiling this season, this is just what I think that he thinks, is he would be happy if we finished in the top 10 this year and went on a cup run. I think he would be happy with that, because he will fall back to say that this club finished 17th last season. This is progression. Now, as far as what I think he can do is, I do believe if he does get our biggest problem, and I just put a video out earlier, our biggest problem is progressing that ball forwards. It is. You can give us all the strikers in the world. You can give us Mbappe, Ronaldo, whatever. But if you're not giving them the ball, there's not much they could do with it. There's not much they can do unless they create stuff for themselves. I do believe if we do improve in certain areas, the results will get better. But I'm still not convinced that the football will get better. And Manny was saying it, like, that's just the way he plays. Now, are we happy with him the way he is if we get results? Let's say we win the next 3 games, but we play absolutely boring crap football. If we're winning, slowly you'll see Tottenham fans slowly start turning to saying, you know what, we can see something because we're winning games. But if we played absolutely crap for the next 3 games and drew them all, or even lost, you know, I just think everyone would just be like, right, that's enough now. We've had enough. It's crap football and we're losing. If you play this style of football, you have to win. Now, your question for the ceiling, I don't think playing this way in the Premier League can get you into the top 4. I don't think it can, because it's too risky, because what you're doing is you're playing not to lose, which means if you start badly in a game, like you're playing defensively and you go 1-0 behind, you've then got to change your whole script of your game to try and get back into it. And it's just almost impossible to come back from that. Especially when you're playing the bigger teams, the top teams. If you go 1-0 down against City, for example, you've got to score 2 just to win, and then you're going to leave yourself more open, and then it's just going to all snowball from there. I don't think his kind of football can get us top 4 football, but you just don't know. Like with Brentford, I think last season, I think Brentford were the 5th highest goal scorers. Yep. So it's not like he doesn't attack. So if he had the right player, I just think we need to see it before we say sack him. I think we need to give him better players, see what he can do. And if it's the football still turgid by the end of the season and he's got better players, Kulu's back, Maddison's back, Solanke's back, and we're playing dreadful football still, and we're probably mid-table or something, then we can revise it. But I just think maybe just give him that chance. But like I said, if we keep putting in bad performances and losing, I don't think many fans would put up with it much.
Alan, just on that point that you made, to stay with you, you said about getting better players, but for what I understand, Burnley have created more than Spurs this season, and I'm asking, do Burnley have better players than us? Also, there's other teams as well that are outperforming us on those metrics in terms of chances created, because I feel like creation is a big issue for Thomas Frank. Are we in a kind of world where he could be diminishing Spurs' brand?
It's more factors than that, though, because if you think about the confidence in the players too, that can massively affect performance. I do believe their confidence is very low at the moment. I don't think Frank's that inspiring, but I don't see him behind closed doors, so he might be behind closed doors. I don't know. He doesn't inspire me when he talks in press conferences, but if they're lack of confidence, they've got no confidence. The crowd are on their backs every week, and like it's justified. Like they're playing badly, you know. I don't blame the fans for booing, but when that's happening, I went to the Bournemouth game this year, and every time Brennan Johnson got the ball, everyone groaned because he got the ball and played it backwards. Everyone was groaning every time the ball got to him. You could see his confidence diminishing by the minute, and so that's a factor too. So that you can be the best player in the world, but if you've got no confidence, you're not going to play very good football. If Burnley players have got more confidence than the Spurs players, it doesn't matter how good they are technically, they will still beat them. It's hard to explain, but if Frank's not getting the best out of these players, it's not all just to do with his tactics. These players look petrified to pass the ball forward, and I'm sure his tactics are not to not pass the ball forward. Surely. I know they're playing the safe pass every time, but it can't be all the manager. It has to be something in their brain to say, I'm not passing it forward.
What if, though, this is a hypothetical, anyone can answer this. What if Frank is relying on his stats, meaning his data, because he's data-led, right? Data-led approach. And in the Premier League, they're saying in terms of risking it in the middle, loads of teams are bypassing the midfield. So maybe he's saying if you play it through the middle, the turnovers are that you might lose the ball and then you obviously concede a big chance. So what if by design he is bypassing the midfield by going more direct? Because I heard Manny saying he doesn't understand what style of play. I think you said it as well. We don't know what Frank Ball is. What if it is literally trying to transition fast, maybe in 1 or 2 passes and get up the pitch and score goals like that? Because I do remember under Brentford, it was very quick, fast, transitional football. A ball will go into Wisa will get in a half turn, switch the ball into Mbeumo, and Mbeumo will be on the down the line, cutting inside, bang, it's in the back of the net. So
Bash, what I would love to know is what the stats of Richie trapping the ball when the ball is lumped up and keeping it and bringing someone into play is, because I genuinely can count maybe on one hand the number of times that a ball has been lumped up and Richie has been able to get the ball down. So if he is a statistician and he is looking at the number of times that we're turning over play by doing that, because now we've gone from, again, and I'm not bringing him up purely for the sake of it. We've gone from a manager that used to shout at Vicario and the defenders for lumping the ball up because he kept shouting play, to now Vicario lumping and Poro as well, by the way, lumping the ball up at every single second that chance that they get. That's one point. But my second point is, and again, this I'm just asking the question, how much of Brentford's ability, how much of Brentford's goal scoring prowess that they showed is down to the clever recruitment, robust policy and personnel that they have, rather than just the coaching? Because obviously a lot of people are saying that Brentford had this, top of the class, top of the range recruitment team that looked at the data to the minute level. How much of it was Mbeumo was going to turn up that way, and Ollie Watkins was going to turn up to be that effective, and all these players were going to turn up to be effective, versus the manager's nurture? However, I do understand, by the way, what Alan is saying with regards to and I think we all agree on this point. Our players definitely need to be improved. Like, as you said, in the game against Sunderland, that chance that Richie got with Mwani on the left-hand side, I've seen Kane pass to Son from that same point 2,000 times, and it goes through to Son 2,000 times, and Son buries it 2,000 times. So 100%, there's also that part of the quality of players not being good enough. I think it's more about learning with repetition. I just don't feel like these players are being taught the fundamentals of what they should be doing when they're being pressed by an opposition team. The back, being our most technical players like Poro, get the ball and lump it up, because a lot of people use the same stat all the time, saying, the players are losing the ball the most in the league, so that must mean that the players are not good enough. But just recently, one of the players that had lost the ball the most was Kudus. He is our most technical player. So you should ask yourself, why is he losing the ball all the time? It's because if you lump it up in the sky near the cockerel at the stadium, of course he's going to be losing the ball if it comes down, because it's not magic. And I feel like it's the little fundamentals. And to go back on Alan's point about seeing, Frank with better players, I want to see that, but I need him to show us that he can deal with that by providing us better with what we have, because Burnley are losing week in, week out. So there's no way they have more confidence than our players. Like Wolves, we are part of the team that gave them that point, and they've been atrocious since, until they beat a worse team than Spurs in West Ham. And it's like, but who are Wolves am I taking other than maybe Joao Gomez? Who? But they were bopping us off the pitch, and I think that is the slight part of it where I'm really, really torn with this manager.
Well, can I ask a question off the back of that? How long do you give a coach to kind of get his patterns of play, get his principles across, improve players? Because obviously it's been half a season now, right? 6 months. Do we expect Frank to improve players within those 6 months, and for the team to have the patterns of play? I know you mentioned Wolves because they've lost their manager. Obviously, when we played them, we had a different manager. But is there a case to say Frank needs a little bit more time to give the confidence into some of these players, or is it this is it. This is the level. And that's the reason why I was asking about the ceiling and the floor kind of question. Anyway,
I personally, I don't think you're going to see an improvement from a player in 6 months, but you will see some sort of form. And how many of these players can you say have hit any decent level of form? And I don't care who you are, Wolves will have players that hit form. Burnley will have players that hit form, whether it be they score 3 or 4 on the trot, they play well for 4 or 5 games. We've barely had any of that. There's at no point throughout the season are you like, he's been standout. The only one that really springs to mind is Pape Sarr the first few weeks. Like, he was electric playing in that 10 position, covering ground, PSG, them sorts of games. He was superb. But outside of that, I can't really think of too many where you like, yeah, do you know what? Kudos as well, to be fair, at the start of the season. So I don't expect him to improve players, but I expect him to be able to get a tune out of certain players, which is apparently one of the reasons he was brought in, was to bring up the level of these players. And I can't say that any of these players look better now than they did last year. You could argue that none of them look worse, but you can't argue that any of them really look better. And going back to the tactics you were saying about him wanting to go from one transition phase to another one, if that's your idea, Kudos isn't your guy. Kudos is a guy that can bring the ball down decently. I agree with Manny. He's been far too isolated. But if you want to go long and you want to hold the ball up and get the team up the pitch, Kudos is a decent player for that. Kudos, although quick, is not a quick transitional player in terms of like Brennan Johnson's the guy for that. He's the one where you want him to turn in and run in behind, and that's the quick break. Kudos doesn't really do that. He'd rather get the ball to feet. I don't really think Xavi Simons is that sort of player neither. Xavi Simons is quick little intricate passing. He's almost like we'll try and beat a low block. So you're signing players that don't fit with the tactics that you're potentially suggesting he's going with. So that's why, that's the confusion for me, is I can't see where you're going with this. I can't see the players you're signing actually impacting the style of play you're trying to implement. So there's people talk about him not having a creative player, and I completely understand that. Xavi Simons obviously been injured, suspended, not in great form. You don't have to have creative players to break teams down. What you can do is you can just go long, but you get bodies around Richie and a bodies around Kudos, and you try to win second balls. I don't like that style of play, but if you're playing it and you implement it well, it can be effective. And the other way, if you want to do it from an attacking point of view, you press really high. Because if you press really high up the pitch, you don't need to create chances, because when you win the ball back, you're already having the shot. So therefore, you haven't got to create nothing. He doesn't seem like he's got a set in structure of the way that he wants to win a football game. At the moment, it looks to me, most games we play, it looks that we want to get to the 60th minute and see. That's what it looks like. It's like, let's get to the hour mark and we'll see where we're at. And there's never the first half, I think, against Sunderland was the first time where I'm like, I get where he's going with this. He's trying to press high. He's trying to get the energy. He's trying to win the ball back higher. And therefore, you haven't got to create loads of chances. But outside of that, I don't understand what the tactics are.
To use a term that YouTubers love at the moment, which is advocate. I don't know if we put devils or angels on top of it, but to play the Uno reverse, could you say that Frank has had different combinations up top, where he's had Mawani up top, he's had Richarlison up top, he's had Odobert on the left, he's had Johnson on the left, he's had Mawani on the left, he's even had Bergvall on the left, and he hasn't been able to tie down that left-hand side. Also, he's had Jed Spence playing left back, who's not obviously a left-footed, and we've obviously spoke about earlier where Ben Davies is left-footed, sorry, and it gave us a little bit more balance, and therefore in that first half we looked a bit more cohesive. And maybe is that one of the reasons why we're not chance creating, because we're so dominant down one side, we're so lopsided on that right hand side, we've now become predictable, where teams are doubling up and even tripling up on Kudos, where people think Kudos isn't good enough anymore because they think, oh look, he keeps losing the ball. I didn't even really rate him before he came. Lots of questions are coming at him and his form. And is it a case of maybe Frank is just trying to find that formula, but it's not quite got there? Johnson was meant to be the one that ran him behind on that left-hand side. He gave him the first 2 games. And then outside of that, again, when he's not in possession or even if he is in possession, he doesn't really add value to the team. He recognized that, tried to put him back on the right-hand side, wasn't effective again, and therefore was like, wow, I can't really use him because I've got Kudus there. He said that in a press conference, to be fair. He was like, Kudus is
I'll just say, I'll just say something really quick, and then I'll let the guys jump in because I've already answered one. But the whole thing about, first of all, Tell was probably the most attacking player on the left-hand side in the last game. He's barely seen any minutes recently. So although I agree with you, when Kudus is on the pitch, it's heavily going to him, and it should do because he's been the one that's at the highest level. Well, that wasn't this season. That wasn't this game because Tell was the best attacking player. And in the first half, we was doing that, which is exactly what the fans wanted. And then the second half is when we went backwards and stopped doing it. But Tell, for me, I think it was 4 days ago. No, it was 2. It was before the Palace game. The game before the Palace game, in the last 5 minutes, Brennan Johnson was brought off the bench to go and play. As I say, it's only for 5-10 minutes, right? Everybody knew in the fan base, everybody knew Brennan Johnson was going to Palace. So what Frank's done there is he's worried about a player that's no longer at this club and not the player that he's then going to start 2 games later. So what you're telling me is 2 games ago, Tell would have been fourth. No, it would have potentially been 5th choice as a winger, and then you're starting him 2 weeks later. That, for me, tells me you're not sure on what's going on here. Like, it's not like he came on after 10 minutes because Kudus was playing and got injured. Tell started. So 1 week, Tell is your starting winger. The week before, he wasn't even 3rd choice as you're starting as a left winger. So that, for me, it's like there needs to be some sort of understanding of what's going on here. Like, Odobert goes for a bit of a run against United. He came off the bench impacted. Then all of a sudden he's dropped and doesn't play. Brennan Johnson then comes on instead of him. Then Brennan Johnson doesn't come on. And it's almost like, surely you've got some sort of hierarchy. And I don't think he's understood that. So I don't think it's just about the first 11. I don't think he understands a lot of who, and a lot of people are saying that's because there's no quality in the squad, but I'll let someone else chance and talk.
Yeah, I have to say, right, so from my perspective, like even on the Tell point, I fully agree. Tell obviously played very well in the other game, but the 2 games before that he played was Leeds, where he scored, and then there was another game where he scored. And I actually came out. I can't remember which game it was.
Man United. It was Man United and Leeds.
United, that's it. He came on and he scored. And he played in that 10 position where Mbeumo was playing when Brentford had Tony, right? So Tony will hold the ball up, lay off to Mbeumo, and Mbeumo will do the what he needed to do. And I actually, after those 2 games, I literally came out and said, that is some good coaching, because a lot of Spurs fans were saying that, you know, Tell was you know, a lost cause, this, that, etc. But he seemed to have has taught him some movement as a number 10 in order to be able to score these goals. That I actually thought, oh, you know what, Frank is getting somewhere here, and then all of a sudden, non-existent. Like a lot of fans say, which I do understand why they say this. They say, and this is when Udogie wasn't injured. Udogie, when we bought him from Udinese, was a wing back. Porro, that we bought from Sporting, was a wing back. We've got Dragusin, who's back, who is a very, very potent centre back that can head the ball. In Thomas Frank's, style of corners, and he used to play in the back 3. So to me, he can try other stuff to see whether they would work, even with the players that he has. However, if we are talking about Kudus being isolated, 100%, Tell and Odobert technically are your most touchline wingers that we have that can give you the threat from the other side. Odobert, I can understand why Frank doesn't play him as much, because although he has these little cameos of good football, he just really disappears in a game of 90 minutes. So I can fully understand. However, not playing Tell, who actually gives you that threat from the other side, is the problem that you've just mentioned, because obviously fans are now saying Kudus doesn't pass the ball. Of course he's not passing the ball, because if he passes the ball to Richie, he's not getting that ball back. He knows, obviously they play with each other, right? So they know the quality of each player and they know what they need to do, and that's why he holds them to the ball. And as you said, it's because as soon as he gets the ball, there are 2-3 players on him and he gets crowded out. So I do think that Frank has to, in my opinion, that there was one thing that was working at the start of the season, and I was praising Frank. Against City, what we did against City is that what we had Sarr in the 10 at the time. At the time, I don't think we had Xavi yet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He decided to press City
Mm-hmm.
so high up that as soon as a mistake was made, we were right in the final third and we were able to capitalize. I saw those games, even against Brentford, and I was thinking, this guy has found the formula with the players that we have, because they're not technically good enough. And I see where he comes from, especially like with Brennan Johnson, in my opinion, technically not good enough. Ange found a system to make him effective, but for the for the future of the club, he wasn't the one needed. And I get that. I fully get him. But I don't understand why he got that system so right against City of pressing the team high and decided to abandon that to try and this transition football that has now turned into a 5 at the back, 4 at the back, everyone at the back football that he's now playing. That is the issue. He's not found the formula. And a lot of fans are trying to say, what about this formula, what about that formula? I don't think he knows the formula.
But
yet.
didn't he press in this game just gone? Didn't he?
He did, but that's my point. That's what my point was. Exactly. But that's exactly my point, Ash. Is like, so we did that against City. We did that. I think in one of a game, I think it was Slavia Prague, because they were going on a man-to-man press.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But then every other game, I'm like, and I don't know whether any of you guys went to the game on Saturday, but there was one thing that they were not showing on TV was in the second half. Thomas Frank he kept raising his hands like he was Moses parting the Red Sea, and he kept saying, kept shouting, stay. He was telling our players to stay in shape. He was telling them not to press. So when people are saying, "Oh, but did he really say? Did he really tell them not to press?" He was telling them to keep in shape. And I understand at some point within the game you're trying to recover your breath and trying to gain the energy back, but it was constant.
Was it because, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there. Like Levy, number one, he wasn't really in the game in the first half, but in the second half I saw him a lot. And then also Xhaka, both of those two players, when they got on the ball, their first thought was, can I pass it forward? And when we went to man press, they were literally, once they passed through one player, all of a sudden that press was bypassed. Am I making sense?
Yeah, 100%. But you're spot on. So what Xhaka was doing, Xhaka was falling into that back four.
Yeah, that's right.
He was literally dropping into that back four.
Yeah,
but the problem was, and there were people that around him that were going mental. When Xhaka dropped into the back four, he raised his head up, you have a cup of tea, ask for some rich tea biscuits, and then give a pass. Like, he had the time in the world to pick up a pass, do whatever he needed, and the press would have been this. We were not pressing as a unit, and maybe it's because they were tired. I'm not sure why, but maybe that is the reason why. But again, we played a very good first half against a Sunderland team that has got 8 players at AFCON. Let's get this right. 8 players at AFCON. And when they decided to start getting on the ball and playing, we got undone.
I feel like their manager was trying to do a tactical tweak where when we went to a man-to-man press, they recognized that, and they were like, okay, they're pressing us. Maybe we will drop, rather than having a 4-2-4, we're going to just leave one player in there. And that's going to disrupt, that's going to draw out 4 of their players or 5 of their players, 5 of our players, sorry. So when we go to press them, once we bypass that press, there's going to be gaps all over. Maybe Frank saw that happening and he tried to tweak it back the other way and was like, don't high press, drop into a mid block because they're playing through us. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No, you could be right. You could be right. Like, this is the reason why I'm not as vexed about this game in terms of Frank specifically himself, because I genuinely do feel like we should have been 2-0 up or 3-0 up in that game, right? I genuinely do. And that is where you say, yes, the players, the quality of the players is the reason why we're in 2-3-0 up. I just personally think that just defending in the Premier League in 2026, just defending, unless you've got the team that Arsenal have, just defending it does not work. It does not work.
Yeah, sorry to have you like this, bro. I'm gonna play a video. That's why. Sorry, bro. Yeah, you carry on.
No worries, man.
Yeah.
I'm confident in my looks.
I love that. I love that. I was gonna skip it forward because there's some. Let's talk about this though. Wait, before we go any further, if I can bring it back. Hold on. Forget about the passing maps. I want to talk about this here. So you guys spoke about midfield, etc. And this stat came up about Crystal Palace and Adam Wharton making 10 progressive passes versus Tottenham's 4 progressive passes, and then in Brentford, Jordan Henderson having 10 progressive passes versus Tottenham's 7 progressive passes. And then against Sunderland, I think Xhaka had...
Yeah, with Xhaka.
Yeah, Xhaka had, I think it's 7, and we had 5 progressive passes. So do you think if we were to get possibly a different midfielder type, a different profile, things would change? Or do you actually guys think it's a tactical thing? Because I've been having this debate with Oren, and the Oren thinks it's not the tactics, it's the players. Do you lot agree?
Can I go in on this?
Yeah, go for it.
I was speaking about this earlier. So I've seen these stats earlier as well. So if you've got the best ball players in the world, let's just say we had Xavi and Iniesta in the middle, but your tactics are to go long all the time, how many progressive passes do you think they'll do if they're not even seeing the ball? They're only there at the moment to press up high. Well, they were in the first half against Sunderland, and they were winning the ball up high. Even Romero and Van de Ven were in midfield most of the time. So the tactics are not for the midfielders to progress the ball. They're not. The tactics for the midfielders is just to press and then win the ball back and win their duels. They're not told to progress the ball. But when they do get a chance to progress the ball, it's them as well. Because how many times do we see them looking up, saying nah, and then passing it backwards? So I think, like I said earlier, it's a lot to do with their confidence of actually trying to pass the ball forward and being brave, especially at home. I think people are bottling it and saying, I don't want to try this in case I get booed. And as another thing is the tactics is we're going long way too much. We play it out wide to Porro most of the time, and Porro hoofs it upfield. Or Romero does the progressive passes through the midfield to our strikers, not even to our midfielders. So it's a bit of tactics, a bit of players' confidence as well. But also, I don't think we have a progressive midfielder, which is why I think Frank plays these tactics in the first place, because he doesn't trust the midfield he's got at the moment.
To progress the ball.
It's a lot of variables.
Like a why
this is happening. But if you look at it, it's quite embarrassing that like Wharton on his own is over double more progressive passes than our whole midfield. That's still a problem.
So it just goes into your statement there. There's a long ball that came from Davies, so it went out to Vicario, who passed it to Davies. Davies, he's not an overlapping fullback, so he's gone long like Porro would, and he's lumped it up to Richarlison. Now, when we made that change for Kudos and we brought on Tel, we stuck Tel on the right wing. I thought logically, I thought we would have maybe moved Tel slightly closer to Richarlison for moments like this where a ball goes in long, he flicks it on, and then Tel runs in behind. Do you know what I mean? Or Moani, who's just come on, he runs in behind, if that makes sense, because he's more of a striker rather than a right winger. So you would adjust the tactics according to the players that you're bringing on. That was just my thinking, rather than sticking Moani out as a right winger. That didn't really make sense to me. But so I've circled these two here. That's Tell on the left and Moani on the right. It's doing the flick on. And I've circled that yellow bit there because I think that's where Moani should have been. But as we fold it on, you can see Moani still far to the right. You can see Bergvall joining the action, running in late. And actually, it's Odobert there. It's not even Tell. Tell's number 11, right behind there. And as he gets the ball, and I'm saying, can he slip Richarlison in there? Can he find Richarlison that diagonal? And I circled again those two players because I'm thinking they should be a lot closer to the action. And I'm like, is that down to the players not understanding or not, having the intelligence to do that? Or is that down to a lack of instruction? How much freedom does Frank give to the players versus should he be telling them what to do? Do you know what I mean?
It's all like a domino effect. This is the problem. Like I always said about Spence. Spence is your best defensive fullback. He plays left back. He's normally playing against a winger that's coming in field. So therefore they're coming against his strong foot, and his one-on-one defending is top notch. So he nullifies a lot of the threat. The problem you've got is that he doesn't really go down the left-hand side as a fullback. He comes in field. That means your winger has to stay wide. Like it's all intricate details. Now, what you're saying is right. Are people close enough? The argument, I suppose, to that is if Ben Davies is playing that clip ball over the top and he's playing it from a deep position, how quickly do you expect people to get up the pitch? Because we're a defense. I wouldn't say we're a low block, but we're certainly not a high block. We're like a mid block, I would kind of guess, in defensive positions.
Right. Yeah.
So if we're doing that and the ball's Van der Ven and Ben Davies regularly, it's a clip ball up the top. You're constantly just asked in the midfield to shuffle forward and shuffle back. And that's why there was a picture recently about the huge space in that midfield.
I'm going to get to it.
If they're constantly going up and back and up and back, it creates more space. This is the reason why people were slagging off Ange, saying that actually what you could argue in this instance is that Palhinha is the guy to sit in that space. When Palhinha and Bentancur play as a two, Palhinha is the one that goes further forward. Not on occasions. 99% of the time, that must be instructions. It can't be fate because Palhinha is a defensive midfielder who sits there. So there's so many intricate details. As I said, if you want to play go long, if that's your tactic, for me, you play two up top and you play Kudos just behind and go long. You've got Moani, Richarlison and Kudos. You don't need to win first balls. You can win second balls. And if you've got three there against, you could have two centre-backs in the defensive midfielder. You could even say a back four. You've got half a chance of trying to win something back. I think that is the problem. I think we're stuck between tactics at this moment in time. And
I don't disagree.
I think one of the other problems that we have, and Reinders is the perfect example for it. Xavi was a decent example for a couple of games. People can so underestimate it in today's game. The runner from midfield breaking the lines. Reinders is Dele Alli. Reinders is the guy at the moment in time. He just frees himself. He just goes. Now that is sometimes not working in a two because you need to be defensively better. But that one in the middle, i.e. your Archie Gray, is never, ever in his life going to make that run because he's not suited to the role. That's not what he does. You could even argue like Odobert and Tell don't do it. But to do that run, it makes the defenders all drop off. Spurs fans should know this because of Kane. That was when Kane was at his absolute best. You drop off a yard to Kane and Kane can do whatever he liked. I'm not saying we've got players in that ilk, but just making that run in behind makes such a big difference. And I don't think we do enough of that. It's almost like everything is always played in front and a bit easy. But Kudos is the guy.
I mean,
this is all it is. Everything is long ball.
Right here in this clip here, I've frozen it. I've circled Moani, right? And Richarlison is running in between the two centre halves. And you've got Odobert, number 28. You can see him peeling off Richarlison. So he's meant to be the box crasher. But the problem is he's not that profile. He's a kind of, I want the ball to my feet type of profile. And we got him as a number 10. So I'm looking at Frank. Is he misprofiling the players in certain positions? If you're asking Odobert to box crash, then you've got Tell on the left. Anyway, fast forward, if I play the clip, here I'm saying, look, pull it across the box, see what happens. He actually done a cutback.
That was his first touch. That was his first touch, in fairness. But the only other thing, and I agree with you, just one quick one. If you had that exact same scenario 5 times in a game, do you think he makes the same mistake 5 times? Or do you think it's because we're very rarely in that position in a game and therefore they're out of confidence and understanding and cohesion with each other because this doesn't seem to be something we have that.
The latter, yeah.
And that's the point, and that's what I keep saying to people. Like the amount of times I'll listen to a game, I can't remember when it was. It was it Newcastle? I think when they cut in and whipped in a cross and it went straight in, and everyone was going, "Oh, I can't believe the luck." And it's like, no, if you put pressure on a defense, they're more likely to make mistakes. They're more likely to kick the ball to the striker. They're more likely to be a deflection. Same thing with Frank and the shooting from outside the box. It doesn't create XG, so I don't do it. Okay, well then we'll never score from it. We'll never ever score from outside the box because we never ever shoot from outside the box. But guess what? You can hit the ball. It can come off the post. It can come off a defender. It can hit a defender and go to a striker. Like you have to try and mix things up a little bit. And I think that's part of the problem as well, is that he's actually quite regimented in his style and the way that he does things. Not in terms of like tactically he can change things and formations, but the way that he wants the football to be played is regimented in certain aspects. And I think that's a negative.
There's another clip really quickly. We've got Richarlison on the break, on the counter. And actually, we've got a numerical advantage here because to his left, just behind him, there's 2 players running in behind. So it's 3 on 2, technically. I know there's 2 players adjacent. I think it's Odobert and Tell there. But here, we've got an overload. But then I'm saying, when the ball gets into Odobert, can that ball be played a little bit into that space there? That's why I've pointed. That space there, can that ball be played there? And this is a different player, by the way. It's no longer Moani. This is someone else. So I'm like, can Odobert find his teammate Tell in that pocket, just outside, coming into that area, into that attacking third? And for me, he underhits it. And because he underhits it and he plays that little bit wide, it goes a bit, it kind of changes the trajectory of where Tell is. And then Tell's obviously come inside. And we've seen Son's that quality, you know, when he goes on that edge of the box, we've seen Son get to the edge of the box, bend those balls in. But from there, obviously Tell does what he does and he doesn't quite get it right. And again, I think it comes down to what you guys were saying in terms of consistency, rhythm, knowing players, playing, you know, opposition, etc. That all has to be baked into context. But then the question is for other people, if we had better quality players, did they score those goals? Because those guys are quite young. Maybe in 2 to 3 years' time, you see those guys put it in the back of the net. And as Spurs fans, do we have patience for those things?
But I think what that goes back to what Alan said, right? Like it's okay. Like people have said it. I've heard it loads. Yeah, when we get Kulu, Maddison, and Solanke, though, we'll score loads more. On what basis? We're not creating. No. So you can't necessarily, like, for instance, let's do it the other way. Normally you go from, instead of Thomas Frank where we're building from the back, let's build from the front, right? Right? Our strikers are not having shots. Okay, that's because the strikers are not good enough. Okay, if that's the argument, fairs. So what does that mean? That means that we need to create more chances. Okay, we can't create chances because our creative midfielders, they're not good enough. Okay, so if we get better creative midfielders, then okay, maybe that'd be better. Okay, then it falls to our midfielders. They're not getting the ball to our creative players quickly enough for them to create the chances. Okay, so we now need new midfielders. Okay, like at what point does it stop where you just go, well, no, actually, we just need to make the best of this situation? Like when we get Maddison, is it going to be we don't get the ball?
I don't know, because look, I've got a picture. There's a clip frozen here. It's Bentancur on the ball. Richarlison's running in behind. He's literally running in behind. I've got an arrow to say that's where the ball has to be. The ball has to go in behind. There's no other option. If he passes it sideways, it's like, what are you doing? Do you understand? Yeah. That ball for me has to go forward. It has to go forward. Bentancur's on the ball. What happens? He chops, it breaks down, the guy wins the ball back. Do you understand? Richarlison at the top of the screen, he's thinking, wow, like, what am I meant to do with that? Like, that ball should have come in. Anyway, it breaks to Moani in the midfield. Moani gets on the ball, and I'm like, your head is up. If your head's up, you can clearly see that Tell started to make that run. To be fair to him, though, Moani does stumble over his feet. That's the only grace.
He did try to make that pass, but he was stumbling.
He did try,
yeah. That's the only grace I'll give him. But again, before that clip, Bentancur for me has to play that. It doesn't matter who's in it. It could have been Archie Gray, it could have been Porro, it could have been Romero.
It's a simple pass as well, Ash.
It's exactly. Do you understand? So then I'm like, that for me.
Ash, on that one, right? And I fully understand what you're saying, but obviously, when it comes to context, not this specific one, but
the one before,
the Richie one,
is
the context the fact that Bentancur raised his head, saw Richie, and saw Alderete from their team, and thought, if I pass this ball to Richie in space, Richie is not getting that ball. So let me try and find a different avenue to play to play it. That's because, again, sometimes we forget that these players, especially with someone like and I'm not saying Frank is the issue with this. All I'm saying is with someone like Frank being so into the detail and the understanding the opposition, etc. He would have been drilling into these players different scenarios within different aspects of the game and the different qualities of the opposition that they're playing. That Alderete guy, he is a quick defender. I'm actually didn't know where we got him from, but he is a very, very staunch defender. So I'm just wondering, because
might be PSG.
My issue with certain aspects, like the Mwani piece, I fully agree with you. Like that was not the first instance with regards to Wani, by the way. He had other instances where he could have played a better ball to put players into better positions. So I fully agree with you. Oh, I lost my bloody point.
Happens, man. Happens.
I can't remember what I'm saying, mate.
But I'm saying there's another incident here, right? And Mwani now is on the break. Do you understand? And
sorry. Can I finish my point? Sorry.
You remember that now?
Yes. The point being made is Bentancur had actually quite good progressive pass. He had about 6.4 progressive passes per 90 last season.
Yes.
So this is not a player who has just suddenly, within one season, just forgotten how to play progressive passing. So sometimes there is context to it, even though I do agree with you, we do need a high volume passer in this team because that it does keep us down, which is why I feel for Frank in certain situations. Sorry.
Morgan Gibbs-White, I think that's that. I think that whole issue.
That is that. That's why I feel for Frank from that perspective, Luke, is the fact that Morgan Gibbs-White, even though he was a 10, has deputized countless times in that 8 position, and he is a volume passer. And I think I do feel for Frank in the fact that that was his number one choice, and we decided to try and go through different avenues to get him, and ended up not getting him, nor Eze. So I do feel, I know I'm very, very critical sometimes, but I do feel for Frank on certain things, 100%.
I've just gone to this side, like where Tell is on the ball, and actually I thought the crosses he put in were kind of decent, but I feel like this is Frank's ammo where he wants the players to get down the side and whip crosses in. And in fact, when I looked at the stats, we were number 1 for crosses into the box. But again, Tell's here on this side, and exactly what happens to Kudos, he will get doubled up at times. But I've put the successful cross in, and he puts the cross into the box, but I've circled out there's about 6-7 players from Sunderland in the box, and I'm like, is this a high obtain advantage situation? Is that really a creative situation? And I'm saying that because if we get another winger in, is it going to be that again where we're going to be crossing the ball, like Frank's asking them to cross the ball into the box, into crowded spaces, crowded areas? Is that going to really make a difference if we get like a top winger that hugs the touchline out wide, as opposed to maybe a goal scoring inverted forward? Does that make sense? So like Kudos, obviously we've got him on the side. Does it make sense having 2 Kudoses where you've got Kudos trying to whip it in, and then you've got another winger trying to whip it in? Do you know what I'm saying? As opposed to having 1 forward attacking and 1 creating. What do you guys think?
I think when you look at all the tactics that teams play and everything else, you need to be versatile in the way that you go about things. So not necessarily you've got to change the way you do every single thing, or like changing every 5 minutes, but you need to be able to adapt to certain situations. So in that sort of situation, you should be able to either have more men in the box. So Odobert on this occasion would be your sort of support there.
Yeah.
Not going to probably win much in the air,
Mm.
but that was why Ange didn't play with wingers that cross the ball like that. All of Ange's crosses were direct, pinned across the floor. That was what it was, and and that was to avoid all of this. Because if you think about it, if you've got a looped-in cross and defenders coming in to head it, but if you're just smashing it across, it could bounce, it can go anywhere. So there needs to be some sort of flexibility and understanding of where you're in certain situations. I thought Tell on the day was really good. I like Tell. I think what he brings is good.
I just think here where he's doubled up, this is basically what's happened to Kudos, but he's getting that now because I've got 2 players on Tell and he's having the same problems and he's forcing him back to goal basically because there's no other option.
But Frank's never dealt with this.
Yeah,
Frank was never good against low blocks. He never was against Brentford. All of majority of Brentford's goals was what you were saying was quick transition. Yeah. Get it from a defensive, get it up to attacking as quickly as possible. It wasn't about breaking down low blocks. So we've seen that he doesn't have the capabilities, or maybe doesn't have the tools, whatever you want to say. He's not been a manager that's been able to deal with low blocks on a regular basis anyway. So to then ask him to be able to just do that when we're still sort of arguing how good the quality is obviously difficult. Yeah. But you need to try and come up with different ideas for me. And I think that if you've got a good left winger, I think Kudos is being doubled up on. And I think if you get a good left winger and Xavi Simons gets into a bit of form, then it makes it a lot harder because people start worrying about other things.
I agree, man. This is the last bit, and then we'll get out of this bit because there's other things to talk about. But basically, here's the actual goal itself, where the ball's gone long. It's gonna done a little pinball back and forth of headers, and then the ball's actually dropped down to Xhaka, right? So as Manny was talking about, sometimes he would drop in between the centre backs to receive that ball, and we've got men pressing here high up. It's late in the game, and we've committed quite a few bodies forward. But what Sunderland were really good at doing is, as I said, playing penetrative passes through the central areas, something that we don't do as much. Do you know what I mean? So this ball here, risky. I've circled this player. He's pinned it right into his feet, and Bergval's tried to intercept it because he's got too much pace on it. He's not able to get it. The guy receives it through the middle, and because he's got on a half turn, he's taken out 5 Spurs players and left Paulinho by himself. And this is where that gap that you were talking about, that's online, where there's a massive gap. It's happened, and it's because of this, the passes through the middle, all of a sudden you can see my man here at the top of the corner of my screen, and there's a massive square. There's a massive what's it called, X. You see, there's a different picture of it, but it's a massive space here, and it's a 4-1-4-1 basically is what you're seeing. So there's a massive space there which is exploited, and that's how they're able to transition on us. Ball's gone down the side. He's pinged it in. They've done a little 1-2. What's his name? Bobby's done a little 1-2. He's gone back in. He's spun in. He's gotten in behind our defenders. And then before you know it, bam, boom, back in the net. 1-1. Game done. Yeah.
But can I say though, by the way, I don't understand why Romero always leaves his position in a kamikaze attempt to intercept play. Like, he does that 4 or 5 times a game, and they really catch him out every single time. I don't know. He should genuinely be told, listen, if the player you're marking passes the ball to another player 5-10 yards next to him, do not go running after the ball like we're playing under 12s. Like, he does that every single. No, I'm genuinely, I'm not joking. He does that every single time. Another point I want to make is Bergvall as well, right? Again, which goes back to Ash, your point about quality sometimes. Bergvall, what game was it that he tried again to intercept where the ball is going to be played, then try to stick a lazy leg. Which one was it?
Fulham when Tete scored. No?
And again, he does this all the time, because that frame that you showed, Ash, I remember thinking, if he had not tried to, get a ball that he was never going to get based on the pace that was on that ball, he would have automatically from the get-go be tracking back, because Tell was not going to be tracking back, as he had been playing like 70, 80 minutes after not playing for however long, right? And he was struggling. And we had that massive chasm of a hole inside that midfield where that goal came. So it's to a certain extent, with regards to those, those points, it's just some attention to detail that they missed out on, and repetitiveness in certain errors from certain players. That, again, I do fully agree with people when they say sometimes some of these players, I don't know what they're thinking, but their lack of quality makes them make certain mistakes. So I do understand when people are saying that part of it, and I do understand when I'm watching a game such as the game that we just played, not fully being like, okay, well, this was all Frank, and understanding that part of this is also because of the quality that we have.
Right, here's something though. Sorry to before you just come in. I've seen this thread by Nathan Clark, and it's basically showing Lucas Bergvall this season. So this season, you're seeing his crosses, attempted take-ons, carries into penalty area, touches in the box, progressive passes received, passes into the final third. The list goes on. And this is him last season under Ange. You can see a completely different graph here, but warranted, I would say. He had a lot more games last season playing. But do you think players are regressing under Frank, and is Porro the latest of those scapegoats?
I don't think it's fair to say Porro is, because I think we see this every year with Porro. He's overplayed. Go and look at the minutes played this season, the minutes played last season. He's the most of any player. Last season he was 500 minutes more than anybody else. Like, he's overplayed, and we see this every year when he goes game after game after game. He goes on a poor run. He comes out of the team for a couple of weeks, and then he starts getting back to a decent level.
So you're saying tiredness from Porro?
He plays too much. And he's not like a centre back who don't move. Like, he's a fullback that covers a lot of the pitch as well. So for me, I just think it's tiredness. Because, as I say, there'll be a lot of fans that said it last year. He's one of the worst right backs in the world. He has a bit of a rest for whatever reason, and then I think he gets better. But it's tough, because he's obviously got that new partnership with Kudos. One game it feels like he's an inverted centre back. Inverted wing back, i.e. that he's the one that's kind of making free at the back, and we're using his diagonals to kind of go either to Kudos or to go over to the left hand side. The next minute he's asked to be going up the pitch because Ben Davies is the one that's sitting a little bit more. It's like, it's a bit difficult, but I just think it's tiredness with him.
Does anyone else think like players have regressed? Like Bergvall brought up that graph there. Does anyone think
I think Bergvall's being played out of position for a start.
It's literally going to say,
if you're going to play Bergvall, play him in the 8, because that's where he's so good at running with the ball. He's good on the ball. That pass you showed earlier where it should have gone over the top, he would have done that pass. That would have been his instinct to do that. And that's what I was going to point out as well. If you're regimental with your tactics, it's going to affect your instincts, because you're going to go against your instincts in certain situations. And I think that's why we're seeing on the stats that people are regressing, because they're not using the instincts to play the ball forward. They're thinking, what's Frank want me to do? What does Frank want me to do? You can't take all instincts out of football, because then you're just going to have this robotic movement that's really predictable and easy to beat. And once people work out what Frank's tactics are, which we don't even know what they are, so I don't know how the opposition are doing it, but once they know during the game what's happening, like Sunderland only had to take one half to realise what Frank was doing, changed it up a little bit, and then they was on top of us. So once you take that instinct away, can you imagine taking, I don't know, Sonny's instinct away for shooting outside the box? Can you imagine taking that away from him? And every time he got on that edge of that area, he just played it across.
But did we see that last season? Like last season, he stopped shooting from outside the box for some weird reason. Like,
he was, in my opinion, he was just on a downward trajectory, which is why, again, I keep going back to the same point that people are now saying, "Oh, we don't have the players quality," and I'm thinking, But that's the reason why you have to put them into a system that can actually get whatever best they can out of them. With Alan just said, Bergvall, 100%. He's playing left wing in one game. He's playing 10 in another game. He's playing right wing another game. He's puts him in an 8 for another.
Yeah, no
Of
consistency.
course, he's going to keep getting confused as to what he needs to do, and I just don't think he fancies Bergvall in the way Bergvall plays. And I understand, obviously, in Ange's system, the mantra a lot of the time is once you pass yourself out of a press, whoever it is that got the ball progressively run with the ball, and that's why Bergvall really fit into that system very well. Whilst at the moment in our system, I don't know whether Frank is scared because he hasn't got the midfielders that he needs in that midfield, even though he brought Paulinho into the club. But the midfielders are not being trusted with the ball. The defenders are lumping the ball up, and the goalkeeper is also lumping the ball up. And we're genuinely not playing. We're not playing with the ball. We had less possession against Sunderland overall, although in the first half we had more possession. We had less possession against Palace, that always has less possession against other teams. We had less possession against Brentford. We keep having less and less of the ball. So obviously the players that normally were good with the ball in the prior season are magically not good with the ball anymore. I get people keep saying, these are professional players, but you become a professional player by playing football every single day, training every single day in order to get yourself to a certain level. But if you stop doing that and you stop, doing the basics and, the passing, the drills, if you stop that, it's going to end up into a situation where the habits that used to come naturally to you, which you need in a game, in an elite level game in 90 minutes that is so fast paced, automatically becomes a case of, right, well, now you're confused as to what to do next, and your passes are not good enough anymore. Your progressing is not good enough anymore. It's a domino effect.
Does anyone feel like we're in danger of what Man United did with Amorim, and we're giving the wrong manager or wrong coach more time than what is needed? Now, we've seen Man United obviously get rid of their coach or the manager. He calls himself the manager. But do you not think that with Frank, because obviously people are saying, he needs more time. When he gets the players back, things could change. You can't sack him because, you can't have an interim running the show. Could it get worse under Frank? Does anyone think that maybe, like, if we did have an interim, they could actually get our attacking flow better? They might have different ideas. We might start performing better. Does anyone think, or is everyone thinking on along the same lines? No, wait till the summer and then fix it. Give Frank this whole kind of season to kind of get it right. What if there's a situation where we just start going down and down? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think it matters. Unless something drastic happens, like we go and lose 2-3 games on a trot, 3-0, something like that, I don't think it really matters. We're not getting relegated. Whether we've, like, people, I've seen people talk about the Ange thing going, yeah, well, if he finished 10th, it's like, if he finished 10th, what? Like, what we'd have been delighted, and that would have been a great year if he finished 10th and won the trophy. Like, it makes no odds, no difference. So I don't think it makes much of a difference. I think that unless it gets really toxic in that stadium, it's bad at times, but it's not like unbelievably toxic. Or if we start going on a run where we're getting absolutely smashed by teams that are nowhere near good enough, I think.
So do you think then the 3-0 loss against Villa on Saturday in the FA Cup knockout, you think that the fans will accept that? Like, it'll be no.
I think the fans will be fuming, because again, it's going to go back to the point of the reason we got rid of Ange was because we want to compete in every competition. And if we're out on the FA Cup, we're out the league. We won't win the Champions League. We're out the League Cup, and the Premier League gone as well. So you could argue by January we're out of everything. So I think when we go out the FA Cup, I think it will go bad. But
because that was the only thing that was saving Ange. Remember, that was a narrative because he had the Europa. They were like, let's give him the Europa. But remember how it was when he got locked out the League Cup, and then the following weeks it was the FA Cup by Villa. Ironically, now all of a sudden Frank's facing Villa again. Like, let's suppose like we get a draw against Bournemouth, and then we go into that Villa game and we lose, and we've had 2 bad performances back to back. Do you think that they don't react Paratici? Because I'm not sure. Everyone's like Paratici's out the door. I don't know, innit? Like, I feel like Paratici's still got a kind of say. I don't know what you lot think about it. I think Paratici still might have a little say so. I don't know if he's a big fan of Frank either.
He's not. I think Paratici's only there for signings. I think he's there to train.
You don't think he's got a say in the manager search? You think that's all down to what's
Langer.
it called? Langer controls the manager search.
You can't have someone that's leaving the club in a week making decisions about the long-term future of the club. You can't, like, not even Spurs could do that. Surely not. Although saying that, he was the one that turned around and told Johnson that he's got no future at the club, and he's got no future at the club himself. So who knows? But I just feel like he's.
I think it's weird. He was in the actual stadium. Obviously, he was getting the deal done for Palace. So, like, who's to say like he is done going to Fiorentina? That's why I'm just throwing it out there. Like,
the rumors from Italy is that it's a done deal and it's literally just signing off. That, like, it's not like they're in negotiations. It's like it's signed off and it's just literally waiting to tick the X, like tick the box. That seems to be it. So I feel like it's too advanced for that to be the case. But like, listen, Spurs are mad. It wouldn't surprise me if we had Paratici as manager, because like we love doing some crazy stuff. I just think that they're going to wait till the summer and then make a decision.
The reason why I ask it, because the narrative is that Lang is the problem. He's the one that can't get deals done. Like, he's the one that's awful when it comes to recruitment. So is there a world where we don't get any signings done this January then? Because Frank's come out and he's obviously saying, "Raw, you know what? If we don't get signings and it's not the right ones, I'm happy to see no signings."
I think if they can't make signing, like, I understand that you say like you got top targets and things like that. If we've got a recruitment team that can't upgrade this squad, then they all need sacking.
100%.
And there's people saying, I don't back Frank, so I don't back Frank for this to spend 150 million. We're putting far too much credit onto a manager's shoulders. They don't pick every single player. That's not how life works at a football club. A recruitment team goes out, puts together. The manager might suggest a couple of players they like, but a recruitment setup will put together a list of names that they think are achievable, could improve, and the manager will pick from that.
So, okay, all right. I'm just trying to make a scenario, a realistic one, where you've got Paratici. Anyone can answer this. You've got Paratici. He's leaving, you're saying. So then it's just down to Frank and Langer to choose players and say, yeah, I want to get this one done. Do you know what I'm saying? They're obviously on the same, like, hymn sheet, and they've obviously got their targets. Is there a world where, like, all right, he wants I don't know, let's say he wants a Savinho, right? But Savinho can't come because Man City don't want to let him go. Yeah. Is there a world where, like, all right, cool, we go and get a player that's kind of younger but not the big name? Do you understand? Would that be acceptable? Is that a level where Spurs fans will say, you know, not Spurs fans accept it, but do you think that could happen this January? Because they're like, do you think that, all right, we're going to get no signings then? If it's a young player, it's definitely not happening, because we've been linked with a young left back. That's the reason why I'm kind of coming out with this type of theory.
I think they have to get a first team player to come in. So yeah, they have to improve that starting 11. You bring in
100%. And to be completely honest, that left back, let's not forget, we have, I think in Frank's presser, he said Udogie is literally training, right? So we've got Udogie, we've got Porro on the right hand side, we've got Spence as a backup. So they're trying to get a backup for Udogie, right? Other than that, like, I listen, if there was one thing that I was okay with, was the level quality of player that we brought in Xavi and Kudus and even Paulinho, right? these are not players that if the next manager was to come in, they would say, we don't want them. These are players, like if you're a serious football team, you don't just recruit for your manager, you recruit for the club and the way you want the club to play, right? So you get that level of quality to come in that even if you were to change manager, they'll be able, any manager could come in and be able to work with those players. You don't, in my opinion, we're not in the position such as United were in, and even that they, in my opinion, they recruited well in the summer, but we're not in an Amorim position where we need specialist players in specialist positions in order to fulfill a certain formation. I actually think that the players that we've brought in are versatile enough to play in multiple formations, in multiple systems. And that's how, as a big club, that's how we need to be operating.
So is Frank being back then? If he gets like players that can play in multiple positions, for example, like we get a left back in and we get a left winger, would you say Frank's being backed or not?
That would be, well, in my opinion, I think that in the end,
according to what you're saying, because you're saying like, so, but because Frank might not want certain players, he might want a run in behind forward, isn't it?
Like
but
Johnson.
He might get a touchline winger, for example.
No, but we've seen the quality that we've been linked with, right? Has not been like we've gone. Let's just be serious here, right? We last summer, not the summer just gone, the one before, we've gone from bringing in Odeber and Gray and Bergvall in the January, right? Which were players that were young, and it was clear that it was a club tactic to, for whatever reason, to the following summer, bringing in Paulinho, bringing in Xavi, bringing in Kudus, and bringing in Muani on loan, and trying, by the way, to get Eze and trying to get Morgan Gibbs-White. So you can see that the level of quality of the players that we are trying to bring in, as since Vinay came in, has shifted. And I actually think they're going to stick to that level to try and bring in. But we need to be real. We are Tottenham Hotspur, right? In a sense. And when I say that, I mean, this is the January transfer window. We're not going to bring in 5, 6, 7 players in this transfer window. I don't think many teams are going to do that. We are going to probably bring in 2, maximum 3 players to try and bolster the team. And those players need to be of the quality required. Because don't forget, I think Solanke is also back at the end of this month, from what Frank said. And Solanke, no matter what people say, Solanke is 100 times better than Richie at trapping the ball from the air. So if this manager has got this idea of the Tony of lumping the ball up, but the striker being able to bring in the wingers into play, Solanke could be the player that helps us do that. So I don't think. Sorry, I'm waffling, but the main point that I want to make before I go, by the way, is as a big club, you recruit for the club and the way you want the direction of play to be. You don't recruit for the manager and specialist systems, because that's how you end up having to, it's a revolving door of trying to appease the next manager. That's not what we should be doing. We should be looking at the level of quality of your Lookman, Savinho, all the players that we've been linked with to a certain extent. That is what we should be looking at for our team. If the player that we're bringing in is not going to improve the first 11, we should not be bringing the player in.
So all right, cool. So if we don't bring any signings in, that's what I'm asking. If we don't bring any signings in whatsoever, Alan, you can answer this as well.
So we've made a mistake then, because if we've signed up Thomas Frank and we're not signing for him, we're signing for the way we play, he doesn't play the way we play. So if we've got him for the long term, then we shouldn't be signing anyone, because he doesn't play how we want to play, and he's not going to change. That's how he plays.
Yeah, but I disagree, because if you look at the players that we've signed, right? So Xavi, we've signed Kudus, we've brought in Paulinho on loan as a 6, and we've brought in Muani, right? This is why I keep saying to people, the level of quality of the players that we've brought in is good enough. If they're not performing, it's because the manager is not getting the best out of them, because these are not bozos, right? These are quality players that we've brought
No, I
in
agree, they're good players.
that should be fitting into Thomas Frank's system, and at the same time should be fitting into a forward playing manager's system. If we went in and brought, a Tarkovsky to play because we want to play in Thomas Frank's low block, then I would understand. But that's not what we've done. That's not what we've done. We've brought in a certain level of quality that, in my opinion, this manager should make work, and any other manager should make work. That is just my opinion with regards to it. But sorry, guys, listen, Alan, Luke, Ash, I need to jump off. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Yeah, like, mate.
That's one, bro.
Ash, what I would say is, like, we do this quite regularly about, like, is it, and you're right to ask the question about backing and this, that, and the other, but again, all I hear is that Ange spent 400 million, and I've got the PLAs that we signed in front of me, and Ange didn't sign 400 million pounds worth of players. Spurs did. Ange didn't. Like the first window he spent, it's in euros, 272 million euros, right? 2 million was on Ashley Phillips. Ange didn't sign Phillips. Ange wouldn't have cared about Phillips. He was going out on loan immediately. 15 million, and that was Valise. Ange weren't bringing in Valise because that was a club signing. We was looking at bringing in Kulusevski and Pedro Porro was 70 million of that. They were signed up before Ange even arrived at the club, so they weren't included. Yeah, that's that window. You then go to the one where he spent 185. Solanke was the only player brought in to improve the 11. All of the rest were brought in as squad options. So if I turn around and said to you, we go and get a left winger that's a squad option, a centre midfielder that's a squad option, another centre midfielder that's a squad option, you'd go, well, that ain't backing Frank. But that's what we signed under Ange, and people are saying Ange spent 400 million. No, that's what the club spent. The club spent this money on players that they've said, we want you to learn and develop, not we want to improve the 11. So if we signed 25 players under the previous manager, but only to improve the 11, and then under Frank we signed 5 that improved the 11, but that's the only ones we signed, who have we backed more? Do you know? It's like who have we actually backed more? And there's people in the chat that will say that he wanted this player. There's certain players he wanted. If you actually look back at Ange's career, Ange doesn't go and sign young players, because Ange is actually more similar to a Conte and a Mourinho on a lesser scale. He comes in, he's there a couple of years, he wins things and he goes. He's not a long-term manager. He doesn't come in for 6-7 years. He comes in for 2-3 years. He gets rid of a load, he brings in a load, and they're all experienced players. So all of these youngsters, he's never done that all his career, but apparently when he comes to Spurs, who are renowned for signing youngsters and signing players that are club signings, apparently that's all on Ange. Like, that's not how it works.
So what is the narrative that Frank is there to improve the younger players compared to what Ange is doing? Like, this is what I'm trying to figure out.
I didn't want, when Frank's name was first mentioned, I said Frank is not a developer of young players.
Not what you want. I'm just saying the club's thinking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. I always said Frank doesn't develop youngsters. If you go through all of the young players that have appeared under Frank,
I don't know.
He develops them from about 21, 22 into decent players. He doesn't develop Mikey Moores at 17. He doesn't develop like a 16-year-old. Don't forget, I know he went through divisions, but he was there 7 years. There's not many that have come through the youth team at Brentford, because there is no youth team. Because that's not what they do.
Coach though at one point.
But everybody
he was a youth coach.
That was what I was told. I was told. Well, he used to be a youth coach. So is everybody. You think Mourinho didn't start off as a youth coach? Mourinho doesn't. Like that's not how it works. If the only thing you can do is look at their history, right? And at Brentford, they don't have a youth team. They got rid of their youth team and said that it's pointless. What we're going to do is we're going to get players that are 20, 21 and improve them over a couple of years and sell them on for huge profit. That's what he's good at. His remit is getting in there. So when we're signing players that are 18, 19, 17, 16, he's never developed them before. So it's okay saying, and I agree, yeah, he's a youth team coach and this, that, and the other, but there's no proof that he improves these players. So, and it's the same thing with Ange. There's no proof whatsoever that Ange is going to improve 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds because he's never done that. Like, that's not the remit that is brought in. That's not what he does. So it proves to me that the club spent a whole load of money, but on their signings, the ones that they felt were going to outgrow.
I don't think they understand what they're doing themselves.
So if
they
we
change
do that
their
under
remit every
Frank,
year.
we haven't backed him.
They change it every year. They tell us different stories every year. Last year we were told Ange is getting sacked because we're trying to play on all four fronts. This year, now they're saying, oh, we have to give him time, even though he's not competing on all four fronts. They change it every year. Conte's one was, oh, it's boring football, so we need to change it. But the year before that, it was, we need a winning manager. It changed. They just changed the narrative, and we're getting worse and worse and worse because they don't understand what they want to do. Next year, you'll see something completely different again. I guarantee it. We're saying we want a long-term manager in Frank. They'll change the narrative again in a couple of years' time, sack him and say, oh, no, we need somebody that plays attacking football. And we've just spiraled all the way around again back to Ange.
So that's what I was asking before. Like, is there any point keeping Frank then? If this is the noise coming out where they're not sure what they want? Because I've heard rumors that Poch, like, they want Poch back. Do you know what I'm saying?
Summer. That's the deal.
I think it's through lack of choice that we haven't made a decision yet. They don't know who they want to get next. They have to pick the right guy. If Frank is sacked and they're not going to give him time, and for me it's either or, it doesn't matter. But let's say they sack Frank in the morning. There's nobody to come in that we as fans would be happy with. That's realistic as well. Like, you can say Xavi and all that stuff, but does he want to come here? Does Klopp's not got a team to manage at the moment? But there's no chance we're going to try and get him in. Like, who's going to come in? And don't say Areola, because Areola's shit. Like, he's just the same level as, like, probably lower than Frank is. You know, Silva from Fulham was like, he's not good enough. Like, if you're going to sign them sort of managers, you might as well keep Frank. So I think it's through lack of choice that they've made no decision at the moment, or it's an ego thing too.
Well, here's another one. This is my last thing. Yeah, is there a scenario where the club have doubts about Frank? And this is the reason why it's the 5th of January at the moment, and there's no concrete movement that we're linked to said player, if that makes sense. Because, like, from the rumors that are coming out, there's one half where I'm hearing some players are behind him, some aren't. Some people, the board, like him, some people don't. Paratici's gone, no, he's not. Do you know what I'm saying? Is there like some conflict, and that's maybe the reason why we're not getting any rumors about players? Is Frank part of the problem at the moment?
Put it this way. Let me just say this quickly. Like, go on. Ash, if you was a top footballer, I'm not saying you're not, but just say you was a top footballer, yeah, right? Apart from money, sell me Tottenham right now.
Stadium.
London. Obviously, Premier League.
So you've got Chelsea, Arsenal, they're London. So tell me something that Spurs can do.
So you're talking about if you're a Semenyo, you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm coming from like players that are outside our league. So like if we're outside the Prem, and like for example, Arsenal haven't got room for midfielders. Do you get it? So if I was to go for a midfielder outside the Prem, potentially, like Spurs might have, I don't know, more of an advantage because a player might look at Arsenal thinking, well, I'm not going to get into that midfield. But they might look at Spurs midfield and be like, yeah, I think I'll get into that midfield. Equally, you could say left wing, maybe Arsenal, because Arsenal could improve in that area. So left wing might be a bit harder. Chelsea, the same. They could improve on Garnacho. Do you know what I'm saying? So you've got a point there. So I think it depends on the position. It depends on the player. It depends how old they are. Perception-wise, that's what I was asking before. Do you think Frank could be ruining the brand of Spurs, even though the brand could have been tarnished way before that? Someone could argue that. But obviously, off the back of winning a Europa League Cup, that was meant to be the remit that we're using that as a springboard to kind of sell to people. Like, we're European champions. We're in London. We've got a young squad. So if you're a young player, you will get time and minutes. Like, look how many young players have been given chances here. We've got Champions League football. You've got the best sporting facilities in the Spurs Lodge. You know, it's like a hotel when you go in there. Loads of players look at it compared to like Man United. You go in there, the leaking. They've got the same sauna. And Ronaldo's there. You know what I'm saying? So there's like maybe those factors you could swing. I don't know players that way, but I don't know.
Like, but the one thing I will caveat that by saying, and again it goes back to what I was saying about Ange. Last year in the January transfer window, we had all of our centre backs ruled out in mid November. We had 6 weeks knowing that all of our mid defenders were out, and we was playing Archie Gray and Ben Davies at centre back, and we signed a centre back on the 2nd of February. Yeah. We signed Kinski immediately as the transfer window opened. We waited a full month before we signed a single other player. So talk about backing of whoever you want and however much money was spent. If the same thing happens to Frank, even though we'd signed 4 first-team players for him already, albeit a couple on loan, no, he hasn't been backed. How can you say that's backing? Like,
all right. So if we don't sign any players, right, should everyone crash out? Should fans crash out on the board?
Yes,
100%.
Yeah,
I'm not in this. The new board. I think it's nonsense. I think Levy's been levied. Like let's say right now, Alan is my boss. I'm Daniel Levy. Alan is Enoch. And I've run a club for 25 years the way I've run it. And in the reports, in all of the media outlets, Levy scrimped and scraped on $1 million. Levy scrimped on 20 grand here. Levy scrimped on that. Alan would turn around and go to me, I've got the money. Why do I keep hearing this? Why is this constantly a problem? I've got the money here. Why is it a problem? The reason it wasn't a problem was because they had times their value in this club exponentially. It was ridiculous. They wasn't bothered by what Levy was doing because Levy was making their money. And then when they've decided to pull the plug, they've gone, Levy was the problem for all of it. No, Hughes had the money. Levy didn't have the money.
If Levy was the problem, it would have been done in the first 2 years.
Why did they scapegoat him then if they're the problem?
Because what was every fan, the second they said we're getting rid of Levy, what did every single fan do? We'll give him a year. For what? We've gave them 25. And you're not happy with what they've done. So I don't understand this. But that was instantly, they get rid of him and we get year's grace. And then maybe they were feeling that because of the 22 league defeats, that would have affected the value. I don't know. There could be several different reasons behind it, but I don't accept the fact. In my job, I can give someone responsibility of a task. I can say to them, you're responsible for this. But if that task doesn't get done, the accountability still falls on me. So you could say Levy has been responsible for loads of stuff. The accountability still sits with the person that put him in that position, which is Enoch. That for me is how it goes. And listen, I'm not saying Levy's unbelievable. Levy had plenty of stuff that he didn't do well, just like, again, every single chairman in the whole wide world, because that's how life is. But Enoch were in control and allowed Daniel Levy to operate in that way because they were happy with the job he was doing. That's it for me.
They were happy with the income.
Or the potential income.
But does that change because Joe Lewis is not the man that's right-hand man anymore, though? Because it's the kids now. And they've been waiting and they've been waiting to get rid of Levy for years. They just couldn't legally do it until now.
Well, we'll see.
And
that's what I should say. Once I know one, then it's no different, right?
Yeah. Of course, but with the summer transfer window would tell you it was different.
Yes, but I could caveat that and say 2 of them. So Palhinha was a loan signing.
Yeah.
Kudos, yes, I absolutely agree with. Xavi Simons was because Eze didn't get over the line, so it was a rush deal and they pushed it through. And then Mawani was a loan signing as well. So how much different is that? I agree with you, Marlon. I'm not saying there's not. I did see a difference.
Do you know what it was for me?
2 of them were loans.
I'm looking at it and the speed of movement, because sometimes I'm looking at previous windows. It just felt a little bit different.
Because after the Gibbs White, there would have been no Eze and no Xavi. That's how we would have seen it. After Gibbs White was done, we were done.
We got to wait till next window to kind of improve, because that wasn't the right signing. And if the right signing is not available, then we can't move. But this one was like, all right, next quality. Okay, next quality. And then also, I feel like with him in charge, and obviously Alan touched on it, I feel like he's like not really a footballing person, in my opinion. I know he's been in football for a long time, but from what I've seen, he likes to get really involved in the footballing side of things, even though many seasons he told us, I'm stepping away, Paratici's going to take it. I'm stepping away, Scott Munn's dealing with it. I'm stepping away, XYZ. Do you understand? I always felt like he can't help himself. He has to get involved some way or somehow. And his footballing decision, it all laid on him. It wasn't just like purse strings. It was like footballing decisions laid with him as well.
And as I say, I'm not saying he's perfect.
It was always, and the biggest thing wasn't about players coming in. It was about players going out. Like no one wanted.
It was everything, wasn't it? It was. So I don't know who said it, but someone said it. It feels like every negotiation is a war.
Yeah, the fact that Brendan Johnson went out to Palace on the first day of the window.
Yeah, that's different.
That was a statement.
Because what's his name? Parish hates Levy. Can't deal with him. It fractured the relationship after the Eze deal as well. But the fact that he's gone to Palace means that Spurs are trying to build 25 years of broken relationships as well at the same time.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, if you have your relationship with a person, I don't think it impacts the club. Like, for instance, if that was the case, Spurs would never deal with Palace again because of the way Palace handled that as a situation. It was almost like done behind back.
But from the rumours and from where it came out, it was all Levy.
Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm saying is Levy doesn't sign the player. So the club, as Tottenham, could turn around and go, well, fuck that. We ain't dealing with Palace no more. What's the point? Because of the way they treated us. But football isn't really like that. So as soon as Levy goes, if you've got a bad relationship with him, that goes away. Tottenham is a new franchise then almost that you don't then pull them same feelings to. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I feel like you're 100% right. I think that's one of the drawbacks of Levy was that everything was always a constant fight. Absolutely. But then the argument is also the constant fight kept Bale for an extra year, got us the world record fee. Like there is other parts to that. It doesn't just work that one single way. But it works both ways.
I get the whole. It was Modric. Modric was another one where he kept for an extra year. But does that just delay the inevitable because they don't act on? They know that they're going in a year, but they don't act on it the year before. They act on it when he's gone. So you're just delaying the inevitable of. We ended up making 7 signings when we should have probably made them the year Bale was there.
But like the 7 signings, you're right. But how does that fall on the ownership again? Like, is that solely on them when the recruitment team are the ones that put all of these players together and sign them? Levy doesn't go out and do the scouting report.
Yeah, but he doesn't do that. But the problem that you'll find with every recruiter that's ever worked for Tottenham is they've given the player in front of Daniel Levy, and Levy has to do the last part. And that's the bit that it always fell down. Like every single one, and it's been on more than one occasion. I put a player in front of the board, they go and do whatever they do, and they go do the negotiating. And every single one said he used to break down at Levy's door.
And the caveat to that, and again, listen, we don't know. This is all hypotheticals, right? If I'm the lead scout, I'm not going to turn around and tell you how many players I've messed up on because I didn't recommend them right, or I didn't do this, or Arsene Wenger signed every single player you've ever imagined that ever was half decent, but didn't actually happen. So how many of them? There was one that last year that was that came. I think he got sacked from Ange's medical team, and he was part of the medical team. I think is it Jeff Scott? I think he'd been at the club for 15 years, and he was saying what Ange's doing is disgraceful. He's like, well, our medical department's been disgraceful for 15 years. And you've been there for that whole time. So you're not going to sit there and say, yeah, he was right. And we was all like, everyone's got some sort of an agenda. Even Paul, is it Paul Mitchell?
Paul Mitchell, yeah.
He's not going to sit there and go, yeah, I made a lot of mistakes. Actually, there's a few players that I said no to that I should have gone at. He's got an agenda because that's his livelihood. That's what he does. I don't have an agenda because it don't make no difference who we sign because I don't have an impact on it. Whereas him, he can't turn around and go like, yeah, I didn't deliver Levy good enough players. Or it's easy to turn around and say like, oh yeah, we told him to go and sign, I don't know, Cristiano Ronaldo. Well, he's not going to come to Spurs. It's like you go and try and do a deal for that. So I'm not saying that is the case. I agree. I think Levy was every negotiation was a war. He always needed to win, even if it was
but I think when it comes to Levy, I think the problem was always that it wasn't the scouts that have been telling us this information. it's the chairman of other clubs that said, well, we offered them to Tottenham and Levy came and tried to lowball us.
He turned his phone off.
And that's when you could sit there and go, okay, it's fine. I agree with what you're saying. Most of these scouts will never come out and say they want to protect themselves.
Yeah,
but when it's other clubs and they're saying, and they're talking about players that they've sold to other teams, and they're talking about our chairman,
Sport Lisbon,
and it's always ours. It was never no one else's. It was always ours, and I think that's when it became a bit of a problem.
But do you think that that's longevity as well, right? Because the Leon owner is an absolute nightmare. Virtually every Portuguese owner is an absolute nightmare. That's why everyone pays release clauses from Portuguese clubs, because they're a nightmare to deal with. Like, I think he went too far, but I generally believe that everything Levy always thought he was doing what was best for Spurs. It not always was. That's what he felt was best, and I think that's part of the issue. And again, what you're saying, Marlon, if he stepped back and allowed someone else like Paratici to take the reins a little bit, they're not dealing with Levy.
Because the problem I've got, when he says he's doing the best for Spurs, but it'd be like me going to tell him how to run the club. I don't know how to run the club. Yeah. But he sat there and got involved in football matters, and that I think that was always the biggest issue. And I think that's where him and Mourinho fell over. How can you sit there and we sit there and joke? Look, no matter who the signings are or not, you should be doing your best to make sure that manager is comfortable in that job until he's not doing a good job anymore.
I thought what was telling as well was his last interview when he was, I think like went out swinging when he was talking about the money, the oil money, etc. And
Neville.
The Neville interview, because that was the last time I saw him have some type of input and say like what he thought of football, where it was going, where it was heading, and what he was trying to do, and X, Y,
he banked on FFP, mate. He banked on that working. He banked on the FA getting that right. And if that would have been the case, we would have been so much stronger than most clubs.
But the problem is there are smarter people in the world than Daniel Levy and the Premier League.
That's right. There's tougher lawyers.
And they know what they're doing.
And that's what he done. But again, look at Newcastle. Like Newcastle, Villa, bigger at the moment, right? Better teams at this moment in time. Can't go and spend what they want. Can't go and buy what they want. I know Aston Villa are offering a lot on contracts, but they're 95.
If you look at it.
And it's actually but all of that is because
look what they are.
But they haven't done what Levy done for Tottenham. Whereas if we got into them positions, we wouldn't be doing what Villa are doing and going, we need to trim the wage bill, or everything relies on us getting Champions League, or we're absolutely messed up. Look at Newcastle. They're going and having to sell players to be able to fund them, buying new players, because they don't have all the resources that have been built up in the background.
But the problem is that you're always going to have with FFP, the richer clubs are going to become richer and the poorer clubs will become poorer. And that's exactly what's been seen. And Tottenham were never going to, Tottenham might be rich, but all we've done is make Man United richer, Man City richer, Chelsea richer, and it backfired because they can buy the better players. And it never put us on a level playing field.
Yeah, but I suppose that's money, right? Like,
this is where my problems with Daniel Levy become, because he done a very great job of turning a £22 million club into a £6 billion club. But what has he got to show for it?
European trophy. The stadiums is shining glory.
That's
what it is.
That's his trophy.
100%. That's his trophy.
And the stadiums are, let's be completely honest. I know people call it a game changer, but it's been absolutely shit since we moved in.
It hasn't been a game changer. We haven't had the squad to match the stadium, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean?
It's ironic.
That's why we're seeing so much division within the club.
But this goes back to Alan's question of why are you joining Tottenham? No football player would join a club for a stadium and a training ground. As Tim Sherwood said,
no top players will anyway.
Yeah, Luka Modric and all them. Like Luka Modric was becoming a good player, but he come and joined it because he had the determination to be world class, and then he went and joined the big boys.
Yeah, it was always a step up.
Yeah. We will never go down that route again.
Well, it depends. Again, like a lot of stuff that was blamed by Levy was that he tried to try to organise himself to be staying on the board when they were selling up, and that he would do all of this and it'd increase the value of Spurs and everything else. And then within a month of him going, they're coming out making statements saying that they're not interested in selling Spurs anyway. So it's like, well, hang on a minute. You've just said that Levy was to blame for all of these fake bids. And so it depends, right? But if they go and sell, if Newcastle's owners come and bought us now, our starting block, but albeit playing team and everything else is low, all of that behind the scenes stuff is already taken care of. That's done. Like, I know it's mad, but as soon as you get that playing team correct, everything else is taken care of. Whereas Villa and Newcastle, lesser degree Newcastle because they have a stadium anyway. But
if you look at it in that sense, say let's take Newcastle right now. Most of their players, most of the signings never miss.
Yeah.
So they've got the footballing side right. The problem that Newcastle have, they're in Newcastle.
Exactly.
So you're never going to get the concepts. It's not going to happen. Newcastle's a lovely place, right? And we love it as in England. But when you think about outside of England,
100%.
How many airports are in London compared to Newcastle?
It's true.
It's
crazy. It's
miles
like,
away, though, to be fair.
Do you not think though, like if we were taken over, like players' prices would be hiked up enormously because we've got so much wealth and so much money to spend, and people would know that we have money as well. Whereas right now, even though like we're saying it's the same ownership, but it's 2.0, people still think like they still look at us as Tottenham, if that makes sense. So the prices aren't hiked up as of yet compared to like a ultra billionaire, like oligarch, state owned. Do you know what I mean? Is there a chance that I'm saying, is there a chance where we can buy like Xavi level signings and Kudus's? Do you know what I'm saying? That's our level. We build on that until like obviously the new guys come in and we get to a certain level. We just kind of build up that team up and not get hit with a 70
unless you act like an ambitious club that wants to win things. Like, you're not going to get the ambitious players that want to be world class. You're not. Like we've not shown to the world that we're going to put the money down. We're going to buy the best players. We're going to, get the best manager in. We're going to try and win trophies. We should have built on it when we won the previous trophy. I should have said, right, we're going from here. We're going to completely overhaul our squad. We could have been a better sale then, because we would have said, look, we've just won a trophy. We want to win more. But now what we've done is the whole team again has regressed. We've got a manager that's never won anything. At the moment, he's not inspiring me, so I can't imagine him inspiring any players that could potentially join us. What can Frank say to a player and say, come to me and your future is going to be absolutely brilliant? He hasn't got anything behind him to say that, or any proof to say like, this is the direction this club's going to go in the next 5 years. We're going to be challenging for the Premier League. Like, he can't say that, and we can't say that. We can't say he won't either. But there's no proof of the past that he has done it before. Like Conte, he can say, right, I've won leagues everywhere I've gone. Come and join me. You're going to help me win the league.
No, I hear it.
I haven't got that.
No, I hear it. That was my
even
argument.
the team, we haven't got world-class players in our team. Nobody wants to play with our players either, because we haven't got those world-class. Like, we've always had a world-class player. Have we got one now, do you think?
No, we haven't got world-class.
We haven't got one. I don't think we've got one world-class player.
Not attacking anyway.
Even when we were crap in the 90s,
Romero,
we still had world-class players.
World-class. Romero's for me.
He's got world-class moments in him, but he's not a world-class.
No, but for me, if I say world-class, I'm going to say that he walks into any team. For me, Romero doesn't walk into any team, personally.
Yeah, I think he makes too many mistakes for somebody that's meant to be world class. I love the guy. I think on his day, he is one of the best in the world. But he's not on his day all the time. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. It's consistency. He hasn't
his
got that
consistency is poor. And he makes stupid decisions time and time again.
Is a big problem,
especially when you're captain and you're doing stupid things like getting sent off when there was no need for that. He already won the free kick and he got sent off. I don't get it.
It's about building up your team and your squad.
We haven't got a world-class manager. We haven't got a world-class player in our team, in our whole squad. It's very hard for like we want to track the best players in the world. We think this transfer window, Enoch said we're going to spend loads of money. We're back in sport and success and all that lot. But it's not as easy as that. You've got to convince these players now to come. And at the moment, we're languishing in 13th and 14th, and players will just have to look at the league and go, hold on.
So Alan,
why don't I just go to Brighton?
Would you sack Thomas Frank and get someone in like Conte back, for example?
Too late.
Like, all right, okay, not Conte back then.
No. It was in. I said this once we won the Europa League, and Alan said this. Once we won the Europa League, the remit should have changed.
Yeah.
They were set on Frank.
That was the opportunity, that small window.
Yeah, that small window.
It's gone.
Yeah, and they obviously Frank was being interviewed before the Europa League. We know this now.
Yeah,
he was the guy to bring in if we didn't win it.
Yeah, and stopped as soon as we won it.
There you go.
They should have
Bingo.
Yeah.
He was.
If we didn't win it, he was the guy to bring it. You're right.
They messed up.
We didn't need a rebuild. We needed a continuous on what we just did.
And we should have acted more aggressively in the transfer window.
Yeah.
But we
that was my point with Ange. I was like people thought that I was saying Ange definitely deserved the third year. What I was saying was I would have given him it purely because you've won a trophy that no one's been able to win, like for God knows. But I'm happy, I'm okay with you getting rid of him. If you show me exactly what we're asking you to do with players, you show me a level of ambition with this new manager that this is going to be the benchmark of what we're going to be. And for me, they appointed a manager that was at the best was on the same line. Like I know people will say he lost 22 games, etc. But there is plenty of stuff that Ange has done in his career that shows up Frank. So I don't think that there are much
massively
of a muchness
as well, by
like,
the way.
Do you know what I mean? Like, is there a much of a muchness? So I just think that should have been the case. It's like what we do with players. We go and sign loads of squad players who are just the same level, just slightly different to the ones we've already got. And I feel like we've done that with a manager. We needed to go and get a better manager, another level manager, a Champions League level manager, not one that had never managed in Europe before.
So we're in agreement. Is everyone in the panel agreement that this window here, we are not going to sign players?
Not game changers.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. We're not going to sign anyone.
You're not going to do that.
Prove that.
Even we know. Yeah,
I think it's possible to improve the first team, though.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
we can improve the first team, but we're not going to get those world-class, game-changing.
Doesn't matter.
Players. We're not going to get those elite players. We're not, and we have to come to terms with that.
The argument is then, well, you can't. Rome isn't built in a day. And we've been neglected for how many years of poor recruitment, poor management, wrong decisions. As we said, the moment's been missed many times. Is there a potential where, all right, we're not going to get world beaters in the first year, maybe not the second or third year, but is this a time where we said you can improve on that 11 year on year? So then eventually we become that team where we are a bit more attractive. We do attract a certain top tier quality player to come in and start fighting on all fronts. We're not going to be there right now. I think the expectation from a lot of fans was, January comes in or next summer, we're going to come in aggressive and we're going to do things. We've seen with Man United. We've seen with Chelsea. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't work. They've had poor recruitment, but they've thrown money at the situation. Who's to say we're not going to do the same? Do you know what I mean? But for me, the attitude would be different if we spend the money, we don't get it right, but we go again. Because I think under Levy, it felt like after Ndembele and Lo Celso, he got burnt and he said, yeah, not me.
Well, the only time he was burnt too many times and Levy was just never.
Sorry, mate. What we did wrong as well in the past is we'd sign these players, they didn't work out, but we'd keep them for 5 years. We'd let their value really decrease to near enough zero, and then we'd get rid of them. We did the right thing with Johnson. That's the only thing we've changed is I think it was the right time for us and for him to say, it's not working, and we got a good amount of money for him.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, because I was asking how many players you think we get in realistically. Like, we must replace Johnson, though, regardless of what you think of him.
Don't forget, we haven't replaced Sonny yet either.
And this is
I
what I
just
mean.
feel-
People
I
talk
feel
about
like-
getting rid of players, and I'm
Well,
like, people
Marlon
saying in the summer, get rid of Romero, and I'm like, and who do we bring in? People are going, Gay. You're not bringing in Gay. Like, we're not going to get him.
Gay
Gay-
won't
So
go.
you're going to sell Romero.
He rejected us last January. He said
Yeah,
that.
he
No,
said
but that's
no,
what people
yeah.
were saying. Go and get him. Go. I'm like, okay, sell Romero. Who are you bringing in? Because the level of play you're bringing in is not going to be as good as Romero. And then we do that consistently, and then we moan to say, why is the team getting worse? Well, this is the exact reason why.
Exactly.
Does anyone think Tell is the Son replacement?
Nah, but he can't be. If you want to be a big club and you want to be a top club, no. It's the bottom line. And I like Tell.
Tottenham may
I
think
like
that,
Tell a lot.
but he isn't.
But don't forget, people, like Man City are the ones recently that have gone from down here to up here. And people talk about them signing your Haalands and your this and your that. Yeah, they also signed Gareth Barry and Elano and players like that because that was the level they needed to get to then get to the next level. So like what Alan was saying there about world class, we're not signing anyone world class, nowhere near, and we won't do for the next 18 months. We might sign a youngster that gets there. We might sign a player that's okay or good and all of a sudden gets there, but we're not no world class players looking at Spurs.
We've
Like,
got the
Sevilla
potential of
one.
the youngsters coming through to become it. We've seen it before with Harry Kane.
But we haven't got the team.
We've got that, but that's
Even
just
Savinho.
hope. That's not a plan, is it? It's like you're bringing in a youngster and saying, right, in a few years' time, hopefully you're world class, and then we can build from there. It's all hope at the moment, and we have to come to terms with where we are now. We're not even. I'd say I don't really want to. Yeah, I will. We're not really a top 6 side at the moment.
No,
we're not. You right? Get our midfield right. Can any of those midfielders get in
get a midfield? Just leave
top
it.
10 teams?
He's like, why midfield? Why do I talk about this?
Just leave the midfield alone.
So the only thing I'd say about that is possibly, depending on who the manager is. And why I say that is we know Bentancur's not this crap. We do know this. Now give Unai Emery Bentancur, I believe we see I believe we see a different Bentancur. And then we're sitting there going, oh my God, Bentancur's this, Bentancur's that. Give us John McGinn in our team. We see a crap John McGinn and we'll be like, hold on. Basuma's a prime example. Look how when he was at Brighton, everyone wanted him. Comes to Tottenham. Peaks and troughs.
And I think that's the same thing with Johnson. Johnson's the prime example, Marlon. I know you're not a massive fan of Johnson, but Johnson, we want to, and I'm not disagreeing saying we shouldn't have got rid of him as long as we bring in a replacement. I'll just say that. But Johnson was tracked by Everton, Villa, Crystal Palace. Who else was it? There was another good team. Aston Villa.
Brighton, I think, as well.
Well, there was Bournemouth for Semenyo.
Bournemouth, yeah.
Like 5 teams that are decent in and around us, and they wanted to sign the player that all of our fans said is nowhere near good enough. Is it nowhere near good enough, or are we not playing him the way that he should be played? Because are all them other 5 clubs wrong?
Yeah.
Because like look at Villa. Villa's the prime example, and it makes me laugh about Rodgers. Everyone's going ape shit about Rodgers because he's a baller. Why didn't Spurs sign him? He was 11 million quid. He'd never played above the Championship. Odegaard, who we signed, had played a League of Premier League season, and everyone was going, we signed him from a relegated club. We signed him from a Championship. What's the point? Well, hang on a minute. You would have said the same thing about Rodgers. No, because Rodgers didn't come in and instantly make an impact. They developed him. We haven't developed Tell.
Yeah,
we haven't
again, it comes down to a good manager, doesn't it? Because Rodgers has really, really hit form in his last couple of months. And I believe we were linked with him a year ago. And a lot of Spurs fans were 50-50 on him.
It's a big amount of money. And this goes to the point that you was making earlier. Like the big name at the moment, and it has been for 6 months, is Savinho. 75 million. That should get you a world-class player. It's not getting us a world-class player. It's getting us a player that some City fans are not even sure is good enough at all.
Product,
but that's the level that we have. That's the level that we have to buy because we're not good enough at the moment.
Yeah, if we're saying we're not top 6 team, then we have to accept a Savinho technically.
Exactly,
because we're not.
100%.
We're not good enough to attract better than that.
Better than what we've got, but not good enough for what we want to be in 5 years.
We also like Akalush against when he was at Monaco against us. Would you lot prefer an Alcalush? I know he plays on the right-hand side to Savinho.
Nah.
Or would you say Savinho's? You'd say Prem proven. Let's go for Savinho.
it's not even about that. I just think that Savinho can play on that left-hand side and play wide. I think you've got Kudos and you've got Kulusevski that are both going to play that role very similar. Akliouche in there as well. When you've got Xavi Simons and Maddison, I just feel like you're keeping it all together there.
Crowding out one area.
So I think it has to be a player that's going to play on that left-hand side. And listen, I'm not saying Akliouche is not a better player than Savinho, but again, it comes down to priorities. If someone offered you one of the best centre-backs around, well, I'm not going to spend money on them when I've got Van der Ven and Romero. I need to worry about a striker, a left back, a left winger, a centre midfielder. Like there's so many more priorities sort of thing. So I just think that left-hand side, Kulusevski, that right-hand side, Kulusevski, Kudos, Odobert can even play there on occasions. I think the left wing is the key. I think if we can get two positions, left wing and ball player midfielder, I think if we can get them two in January, I'm not saying we will, if we can get them two, it changes the way that we play.
I think a left back is massively important as well. Not only for left back position, but it really strengthens our right back area. It really does. Because now all of a sudden you've got two options at right back. And then you've got two options at left back. It makes a massive difference. So we saw with Ben Davis, a left-footed left back makes a massive difference for the progression of the ball. It does. It made a massive difference. So, but we will be looking at someone to be backup to your doggy, because that's where we are. We're not going to get someone better than your doggy. We're not going to. So getting a Sousa in
Josh has put two in there. That would be amazing if we got them two. Ndoye and Kone. The only problem that I have with Iliman and Jaya is, and it's so ironic, I know, because Johnson is exactly this guy. We need someone that gets goals and assists,
and we
don't have enough.
And we still need to get rid of two overseas players from the squad, because Brennan's gone, but he counts as homegrown, so we're still screwed.
I agree, but almost at this moment in time, we're in a situation where I don't care. Because we're not winning the Champions League. Let's stop worrying about
it next year.
Very true. I'm with it. No, you're right. I'm with it.
Sod it off. Don't worry about that, because
worry about that later.
We're going to have this issue anyway, Marlon, right? And on the basis that in the Champions League squad, you can only make 3 changes. So a centre-back has to come in, because we don't have enough centre-backs at this moment in time. So you would guess Dragusin comes in.
Yeah, but where are we on the Premier League squad as well? Because I'm pretty sure we're maxed out on that as well.
Yeah, but that's players not given a shirt. So Basuma's just won't be part of
it. Yeah. But you're still talking that if we're still at 17 overseas players that we're meant to have, we still make space for.
Wasn't Takai in that though, or not? Because he was injured.
No, he was young. He was counted as young.
Oh so
this under 21. Yeah. So this is the problem. This is the other issue. So you forget the Champions League for a second. The Premier League squad I believe is maxed out. So you still have to make room.
But the Premier League's different with under 21s though, because they don't count in the squad.
Gray doesn't count. Bergvall doesn't count.
Odobert, none of them count.
Yeah, but we've still got Dragusin. We've still got. So it's slightly different in the way it's done.
Yeah,
I still believe we're maxed out.
That's a point.
We could tell
Dragusin though. We could tell it's possible rumor that he could be leaving.
The rumor is that it's going to be 3 players. It's going to be Savinho, Conor Gallagher.
I'll Conor Gallagher to that as well,
and a left back. And Alan's right. It's going to be a backup left back, not looking first team.
Well, it'll be a first team because Udogie won't play because he'll be injured.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Robinson from Fulham was injured for half the season, because I'd take him right now.
Anthony Robertson is a great left back, but he's injury prone as well. By the way,
he's been injured for like.
We'd have to be careful. Imagine having 2 injury prone left backs.
But and he counts as bloody homegrown as well.
Eventually getting loads of game time.
Knowing how they'll both be out for half a season, but they'll both be the same half the season.
That's very usual.
Ben Davies rolled out for the 4th choice of left back.
On that note, lads, let me send you lot to bed.
Oh yeah, I forgot about sleeping.
I could just talk about Spurs. This is all I do. When I go offline, I just take a camera and just talk to myself.
He phones me and starts talking about Daniel Levy.
That's called Spotlight.
Hey, bold predictions though, real quick. I want to hear some bold
predictions.
Oh yeah, I know. We've got to play them, right?
At their stadium. We're away as well, aren't we?
Yeah,
we're away.
Should be easier.
Well,
we should win.
You going for a win?
I'm going for a win because they're just as bad as we are, but we've got a good away record. So I'm going. We haven't got Kudos, but I'm
We've
going
got
to
Xavi,
go
though. Xavi will be
for.
back.
I'm
Xavi
going to
will be
go
back.
for a very, very tight 2-1. I think it's going to be to Spurs. Not because we're great. I think it's because they're worse. That's the only reason.
It'd be interesting if he plays Odegaard right, Tell left. It'd be very interesting, and Xavi
Why
in the
do you say
middle.
that?
He has got no choice.
Because he's got no choice at the moment. And I think because the way the latter, both for the French under-21s, it might be a blessing in disguise for both of them.
100%.
Have a good performance.
Odegaard looks so much comfortable when Tell was on the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks
even
more
though he was crap, I thought he was terrible as a number 10, but he did look more comfortable.
He faded in the second half a bit. But yeah, he did win balls like high up the pitch, press well, and
his pressing was very good.
that's what it was. I think that's what it was.
He pressed,
But you know what it is? Because a lot of people look at Odegaard and be like, well, what did he do like on the ball? Because a lot of people think about if you're a number 10, you got to produce like in those attacking thirds, and if you don't, you're shit. It's pretty much in it. Like,
look how far we've fallen. We said he pressed well.
Basically, that's what I'm saying to you, bro. I'm saying, look.
I'll tell you what, he looked great in his kit. He looked brilliant in his kit.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm like, bro. Like, the 10.
His hair looked fabulous, but that's about all I've got for him.
His hair did look fabulous, by the way.
You've got to be scoring goals, not pressing the ball and winning the ball high up. I know it helps, but obviously we went through the clips already, so I'm not going to go all over that. But yeah, we've got to have Odegaard on the right wing and hope. I don't know if the problem with Odegaard for me has and always will be at the moment the end product. Because like Marlon said many weeks ago, he's more of an impact player at the moment, and it's in his head.
Yeah,
he just can't. Whereas I think Tell's mentality slightly like I'm the big man. He backs himself a lot more.
Have you seen Odegaard for the under-21s though for France?
It's a different
game,
completely different. But it's different environments. And again,
different coach,
different player. He gets goals in different
country. Like when you're at home, you're more comfortable. Yeah. When you're away from home, you know, he's young, could be homesick. Who knows, bruv? And we don't need players that get homesick. You know what I'm saying?
I think they need to go in. It needs to go and have some mental health sort of like.
I think things. If it was me, I'll put him in a boxing ring and I'll take him around Tottenham. I say, bro.
Apparently,
go live
from people like close within the club have said in training the kid is unbelievable. Like he does stuff you won't.
No, we said something in the press conference as well. Didn't Frank?
Frank said that. He said he's scared of playing. He's scared of playing at home or something.
You can never tell whether people are saying that to kind of. But I've like people that I've said like literally when you see this kid in training, like, he's ridiculous.
Hear this now, and I'm not. It's not from me. Yeah, I'm not saying this. But
you're saying it. It's from you.
That's not from me, bro. It's not. Man, am I saying that Tell is the best finisher? Like when it comes to training,
but that's not hard to believe.
He's the best finisher, but
that's not hard. But that's not hard to believe because when he gets himself in a certain situation, he's more likely to finish it more than Mawani, Solanke.
He's another one that's banged him in for France as well.
You put up that screenshot. You put up that screenshot when you said Tell missed it. Would better players have scored? I think if he'd have played in the last few games, he would have scored. I've got stocks in Tell, man. I think Tell's going to be a player if we can get the right young, right experienced players around him, and he learns from. I think he's going to be a good player.
And he backs himself.
Yeah, he does 100%. Like,
so what are you guys saying? Tell us the truth, then.
No. I just think Tell don't mix.
Or as Frank being missed, because look, I wanted to ask this as well. Is he? Frank wants to run in behind inside forward on one side, on the winger on the other side. So I thought, isn't Tell that kind of profile? Like I don't know why they've tried to put him as a striker. I see him more as a
because he's played there for the French under-21s. That's why.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is. Because when you look at this, was it the Championship before when Etitike was at top and Odegaard was on one side and Tell was on the other?
Yeah,
it's like nobody watched that.
Yeah.
And but since he's not been around, well, I went and looked back at the last few under-21 games. Tell's either been up top or left. But Odegaard didn't play him. But when Odegaard's not playing, that's when Tell's stuck on the left.
Yeah,
you've got to think about it. Like at Munich, My man's got
I'm gonna say
Alphonso Davies running around him.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
so
gonna say
he's
that.
coming in and he's got that option. At the moment, we've got Udogie, who, if he makes that stride, goes off the pitch because he's injured, or Ben Davies, who can't get there. Like, what are we doing? Like, he needs to have them sort of relationships built up and everything else. So, I know Marlon tried to send us all to bed a little while ago. Maybe we should go on
Yeah.
because we could be here all week.
Sorry. What my prediction? Go on.
I'm going to go 1-1.
I thought we're gonna go for the loss. I thought we're going to go for the L.
No. I'm going to go 1-0. That's me. That's me going. Like, I'm backing it to say 1-0.
That's you backing it, yeah. Oh, of course.
Yeah, I just think that Porro's probably not going to play because if he plays again, man, then we need
He'll
to
get injured.
We need to seriously have conversations about what we do with him because he can't keep playing these games. And then I think it'll be really interesting to see in that midfield. Someone put in the chat he thinks he might go Bergvall as the 10.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
if he does that again, it's just like it's a clear sign that he's happy.
Javi's available though, isn't he?
Yeah, but
Bergvall
Javi's been available and not played. So,
but I think you know what? I've been watching Bournemouth. I've been watching him, bro. I think we're gonna get a shock. Bro. It might be a Bournemouth W still. I can't lie.
They've been bad.
Brooks.
I think because of the way we were against them at home, Frank's going to adapt. That's what he does best.
So you think a sit back? He's going to do the sit back.
He's going to sit back. If he's playing Bergvall's 10, we know what he's going to play. It's just whether we're going to enjoy it or not.
All of our away games have been roughly the same.
Yeah. They've not changed.
He'll do the same what he did against Brentford, what he did against...
But the whole talk was that the XG, blah, blah, is going to catch up with us. Or what was it? Not XG. Something like if you keep performing like this, because the way performances, they haven't been good. And like someone said, it's eventually going to catch up with you. It's like one of them we're going to get caught out with.
Said that when we were fifth. We was on 18 points. However many games, and I said if we play them exact same games now again, we won't pick up 18 points. You just won't. Like
the advantage we have got is Bournemouth are not used to playing twice per week, and they've had to play two games already in a week.
That's true.
They're playing their third one
Frank
now. Our squad can handle it. We've been doing it all season. Theirs won't be used to it. That's exactly why we beat Palace, I think, as well, because they're not used to it either. That's my only hope. Sorry, guys. I've got no more of a hope than that.
So wait, do we all think all the players are behind Frank then? Is that what we're saying? All the players are behind Frank?
No.
But I don't think...
I feel like if he's lost a bit of the dressing room, goes in, heads drop. I don't know. Brooks been on it. He's one of these games he's going to get that goal. Like Brooks, trust me. I've been watching Brooks and I'm like, raw.
I like him.
Everyone's talking about Clive. Tevin has been all right.
Yeah, but Bournemouth can't defend to save their bloody lives. I don't know when the rest attack.
I don't know. Like
we can't attack with our lives.
We have to get a set piece, bro.
This is why it's going to be 0-0.
We can't attack. They can't defend.
We got 0-0. We've got a W here. We got L. So none of us are agreeing on the whole Bournemouth.
It's because none of us are ever going to be sure this season about who's going to turn up.
But is a draw acceptable? I mean, of course it's not. But like, I'm just trying to figure out where is the cracking point.
You're trying to find the smallest amount of positives.
No. I'm trying to find where the cracking point is.
The cracking point is going to be against Villa.
That's what I said. That's what I said before. I said, can we go
another performance,
a draw, and then get knocked out of Villa, and everyone still be okay and be like,
do you know if we go out to Villa,
Villa are better than us.
If we go out to Villa, then our season's over. Already.
Remember, they said they're going to back Frank. That's just the point I was getting at. They said they're going to back
Alan,
Frank.
does that mean I haven't got to watch any more games?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying right.
Switch your YouTube channel off, mate.
It's the 10th of it'll be the 10th of January. Possibly we might not have signed anyone by then, because that's this Saturday. This Saturday, there's still a possibility we wouldn't have made a signing. Do the board then look at it and think, raw?
They're waiting for Semenyo to leave, aren't they? That's what's happening.
Who are Tottenham?
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Sevilla
only if it's Man City, though.
Yeah, as long as it's Man City. Sevilla.
If it's Man City, that's what we're waiting for.
Yeah, because it's either Mamouche or Savinho that goes.
I don't think Mamouche comes.
He's
big doubt.
Mamouche ain't coming.
Mamouche won't come.
Mamouche ain't coming.
I would love Mamouche. I would love him.
Yeah, but more the sense of City have to sell one player to make room for Semenyo.
Yeah, but I think they sell Oscar Bob, but not to us. I don't think we get Savinho, and I don't think we get a player from City.
Yeah, but
That's a good shout.
To be fair, Savinho hasn't even played for City, has he?
He's injured, so are we signing an injured player?
Yeah, of course we will. We're desperate.
It wouldn't matter if we didn't. He'd get injured in the first week anyway.
I guarantee you he passes the medical.
Wait. So the narrative is, all right, cool, wait.
I ain't got no narrative.
You tell Johnson, who's fit, right, whether we like him or not, and we buy an injured player that can't start right now, even though we need attackers to score goals and Savinho ain't got goals in him as well. Is that what we're saying?
That's
be honest,
Tottenham.
Bro,
welcome back.
That's why I don't see it happening. That's why I can't see the Savinho signing.
Where's Steven Bergwijn when you need him?
Anyway.
Solanke's on his way back. Don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, Solanke's going to sort all our problems out.
Probably, you know what? I bet he does as well. It's going to kill everyone when he does.
Yeah.
I'm a Tottenham fan.
I'm not sure. You know what, Solanke? This is my last controversial take. Yeah, I don't think Solanke is aggressive in that 6-yard box the way Richie is. I think Solanke's a better footballer than him. Let me correct myself. Solanke's better at the hold up. He's better at carrying the ball, dribbling, all that type of stuff.
You can't be
worse.
worse.
When he's inside the box, he's not a killer. He's not. And Richard's not a killer either.
The one thing I'll say
is
I look back at his goals for Bournemouth in that last year.
You got a point.
He is
so
much better in the air than I thought he was.
Is Frank going to play him like that? That's the thing.
Yeah, he will do. Like Tony,
you pick it long to him. Yeah. That's all he'll do with Solanke.
Yeah. That's what he'll do. You had Tony.
The midfielders, we've established the midfielders don't progress the ball. We've got stats on that. So it's only going to be long balls to Solanke. But we don't have anybody around him to make that work.
Failing that, just go and get our old striker. He's pretty decent in the air. Get Peter Crouch back. He'll win a few headers. Even if he is 48, he'll still win a few headers.
Get Fellaini in, mate. He'll sort out.
I'm done.
I don't know.
I'm done.
On that note, guys, let everyone know where they can find you.
Go on, Alan. I'll let you go first.
What was I going to say?
Where we can find you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm on YouTube. I'm very tired at the moment.
I'm on Spurs Kings right now.
Come on, you Spurs.
Type in Alan, on YouTube, guys.
Tottenham Logic TV. Find me on YouTube. I'm nowhere else. I don't even go to bed. I'm just there all the time. I've got I get lots of other YouTubers on my channel. They do like reactions to matches and things like that, and it's a pretty good watch. I try to put a logical view on the Spurs and try to keep it balanced. Sometimes I get over emotional, especially if I've done a video straight after a game, and then I sit back and think, what have I just said? But yeah, you can find me on YouTube. That's it really. It's very late.
Lucas.
You can find me here, there, and everywhere. I'm on everyone's channel talking nonsense about Spurs, but X, Insta, YouTube, the lot. Spotlight on Spurs. Thanks again for having me on. I always love to come back to Spurs Kings, where it all started for me. Unfortunately for you, this was the channel that allowed me to make my first ever appearance. Sorry about that.
That's funny because it's where it's ended for me,
But thanks again for having me on, guys. I always love coming back on, so thank you very much.
Big up, man. Welcome home. Welcome back home, man. Back home.
Now behave yourself when you're back on the street. You back Wednesday, Ash?
Yeah. I thought, why not? There's a lot to talk about. There's many sackings. Could be more sackings to come as well. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean Spurs. So watch the space, man. There's a few guests we're going to have on. Mix it up again. We're going to talk about Frank as well, actually, at some point. I think it needs to be spoken about. Frank, Amorim, Tottenham, Manu. There's a few comparisons I want to talk about. Maresca. And Liam. Liam, of course, looks like he's going to get the job at Chelsea. Liam from the bits and bobs. But yeah, man, listen. Make sure you are liking, sharing, and subscribing. But that's me. It's me done.
Thanks for having me on, lads, as well, by the way.
No problem.
Guys.
No problem. Oh, and just a message for box office. Next time you go on Chris Cowlins, Just don't waffle for like half an hour. Have a point. Right? You want to sit there
I even heard it. What do I say? He's going round and
he's going round and round in
round.
circles.
I even heard
I'm
it.
going to call him Circles Box Office now because he doesn't actually get to his point.
Circles office.
Yeah.
It's like telling Vicario not to punch the ball out.
Yeah. Like, you sit there and abuse us in our chat. We'll abuse you, son. On that note, thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to everyone that's joined us tonight. It's been an absolute